Chapter 1492, Ultimate Showdown 4. As soon as Li Yaoyuan heard Emperor Jing's words, his face immediately turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Su Luo never thought Emperor Jing, who always wanted to devalue her into dust, would now suddenly praise her. Momentarily, she was a bit dazed and couldn't react. Su Luo foolishly looked at Emperor Jing. Emperor Jing, right now, was too enthusiastic. He patted Su Luo's shoulder kindly and in a familiar manner. He even rubbed her head very affectionately. Not only is my family Luo girl's face unparalleled in this word, her cultivation is even more awesome. So young and already at 9th rank, in this world, at this age, which girl is able to obtain this kind of accomplishment? Moreover, she is the favorite last disciple of Grandmaster Rong Yun. Speaking of this, it really is my family's Lu Yun who reached above himself. Su Luo opened her mouth slightly in surprise, her whole body shivering slightly. Could this Emperor Jing be possessed by somebody else's spirit? Before he extremely detested her, this change was too big, okay? Moreover, the words he said were quite strange. Li Yaoyuan's deeply cold gaze bored into Su Luo. Then it landed on Emperor Jing. His mouth bloomed into an intriguing cold smile. Your Majesty might have been happy a bit too early. Emperor Jing smiled faintly. What? My daughter-in-law has 9th ranked strength. Am I not allowed to be a bit happy? That fairy in your family is really a pity. If it wasn't for before, Li Yaoyuan specifically coming over to ridicule the Emperor Jing, Emperor Jing also wouldn't bring up Li Yaoyao's matter. You. Li Yaoyuan's smiling face froze, immediately turning stiff as iron. Li Yaoyao was Li Yaoyuan's heart's biggest pain. Such great natural gift, and following the master of Purgatory City, but now, Li Yaoyuan's gaze suddenly turned to Su Luo, eyes shining with cold light. Loathsome girl, the debt you owe to Jade Lakesley family you will not escape until you die. Nangong Liuyun's eyes half narrowed, looking at Li Yaoyuan dangerously. Li Yaoyuan glared at Nangong Liuyun hatefully. So what if you're protecting her? Yaoyao is Purgatory City Master's disciple. Wait till your master comes back, humph humph. Li Yaoyuan glared at Su Luo a final time, then raised his arm, and in a spitting rage, brought all the Jade Lakesley family members to leave with him. The words he didn't say were very obvious. Wait for Purgatory City's master to return. When the time comes, if Su Luo still hasn't paid the price, then the master of Purgatory City would personally avenge Li Yaoyao. Even though Su Luo had Grandmaster Rong Yun's protection, she still would not come out of this well. This was Li Yaoyuan's thoughts. But looking at Li Yaoyuan's reckless and arrogant back view, the smile at the corner of Nangong Liuyun's lips turned into a sneer. Li Yaoyuan was really interesting. Whoever else he had hopes for would be better, but he pushed it onto Master's body. Wait until Master returns. With one sentence from his family's Luo girl, just wait for Jade Lakesley family to be completely destroyed. However, this was only Nangong Liuyun's inner thoughts. His eyes were unfathomable. Nobody could guess what he was thinking, including Emperor Jing right now. After Li Yaoyuan left, that extremely fake smile on Emperor Jing's face also disappeared. Emperor Jing cautiously looked at Su Luo, then pulled Nangong Liuyun to the side. He looked at Su Luo with mysterious eyes, then whispered into Nangong Liuyun's ear in a low tone. Is what Li Yaoyuan said really true? How was Nangong Liuyun supposed to respond to this? He could only remain silent. If that's the case, then Su Luo, you cannot marry Ah. Although Emperor Jing had really changed his perception of Su Luo, even welcoming Nangong Liuyun to marry her, but if Purgatory City's master was to get involved, then it was extremely serious. Chapter 1493, Ultimate Showdown 5. Nangong Liuyun once again was silent. If he said that the only reason Master took him in was so he could train a suitable husband candidate for that precious adopted daughter of his father's expression would certainly be wonderful. Why aren't you saying anything? Emperor Jing saw that Nangong Liuyun was late to answer, and gradually got the feeling that the matter was very serious. After all, it was said that Li Yaoyao was Purgatory City Master's most beloved disciple. Nangong Liuyun let out a long sigh, and clapped Emperor Jing's shoulder. This is something you don't need to worry about. You better worry about those messy imperial court matters. That? Emperor Jing still felt uneasy. Ask yourself honestly, if this emperor so exhaustedly trained a disciple that ended up having their martial arts wasted by people, I would definitely retaliate. Being overprotective was human nature. Moreover, it was said that Purgatory City Master's overprotectiveness could be said to be unreasonable. Nangong Luyin let out a long sigh. My master certainly would also do so. But who master would strike against, the opponent needed to be changed. However, these words Nangong Luyin didn't say out loud, because once said at that time, it would bring a huge pile of trouble that would involve Su Luo. Seeing Emperor Jing still wanted to say something, Nangong Luyin directly patted his shoulder. Trust in your son's vision. Having said that, Emperor Jing naturally had nothing else to say. Originally, everyone didn't think highly of Su Luo, only Nangong Luyin alone was all-seeing and saw her as a pearl. Facts proved that Su Luo really was a pearl covered by dust. Now she was just releasing her splendor. You can believe that in the future, her light would be even more dazzling. After Emperor Jing left, Su Luo said in a weak voice, "Your father the emperor changes really quickly." Just now she even had goosebumps. She really couldn't adapt to this awe. One might ask, before, if a person disliked you to the point of wanting you dead, then suddenly showed great affection, and took you completely as one of his own people, the contrast in between was really too big. He was provoked by Li Yaoyuan. Nangong Liuyun's eyes held a smile. But this is also good. At least he regards you as his own people. He won't make mischief for you again. That is also true. Su Luo nodded, the corners of her mouth holding a sneer. But Li Yaoyuan is really self-confident. Is the master of Purgatory City someone he can calculate? This time, Su Luo was very glad she had a mother who was extremely charming and had a flirtatious face that enthralled 10,000 people under the heavens. At that time, every strong expert at the peak fell to his knees before her charms, so she got more and more backers. Afternoon. Su Luo arrived at Grandmaster Rong Yun's elegant pavilion alone. All around was splendid, a flourishing scene to behold, but it was perfectly quiet as if uninhibited. Grandmaster Rong Yun sat on a red sandalwood armchair, dressed in a sky-blue-colored robe. The hem of the robe arced like a warm cloud. It looked like he was riding a cloud leisurely. You came? Rong Yun opened his mouth gently, a soft smile appearing on his jade-like face. His voice was like his manners, even and carrying a deeply hidden mysterious aura. In front of Grandmaster Rong Yun, Su Luo didn't dare to be impudent, she smiled. Master has orders, don't dare to disobey. Ah. You came pretty fast, sit. Rong Yun's slender and fair finger pointed at a round stool on the side. His gaze was calm, face beautiful and abstruse. Every movement was graceful and noble, absorbing people into it until they couldn't shift their eyes. Su Luo took a deep breath, cursing silently in her heart. Master was so outstanding, and Mother's heart wasn't moved. Then was Purgatory City's master equally outstanding? Or maybe even more outstanding? Chapter 1494, Ultimate Showdown 6. At that time, from what the old emperor of Western Jin said, it seemed as if her enchanting mother's heart wasn't moved by the master of Purgatory City. What are you thinking about? Rong Yun's gaze swept by her face light as a feather. Cough, cough, nothing. Even if she was to die, Su Luo wouldn't admit to it. After all, she couldn't ask her master at that time, why didn't my mother like you? Ah? If she was to ask this, guaranteed, her master would send her flying with one palm strike. Rong Yun, looking thoughtful, took a glance at Su Luo. His jet-black eyes were like obsidian giving off a faint light. His eyes seemed pensive. Reaching his level, with only a glance he would be able to see what the other was thinking about. You are curious about Long Qingtian? Although Rong Yun's words seemed questioning, but that tone didn't seem to be questioning at all. The tone was a direct assertion. Who is Long Qingtian? Su Luo blinked her eyes in puzzlement. That foolish guy's master. Grandmaster Rong Yun slanted an annoyed glance at Su Luo. Who that foolish guy was, Su Luo naturally knew. This wasn't the first time master called Nangong Luyin, that foolish guy, in front of her. Then his master, Purgatory City's master. So it turned out Purgatory City's master was called Long Qingtian. Ah, such a domineering name. Just hearing it, would think he was a dragon lord that ruled over all the land kind of guy. Hiccup. Su Luo scratched the back of her head and foolishly smiled. Nothing to be curious about. After all, Master and that Master of Purgatory City were rivals in love. If she was to express too much curiosity, it wouldn't be good. If you are curious, then just ask. It's not like there are outsiders here. Who are you pretending for? Between Grandmaster Rongyun's brows was a faint softness and his eyes carried a smile. Huh, Master, you are not mad, ah? Su Luo's whole face expressed her curiosity. Rongyun's eyes revealed a noble and insufferable arrogant haughtiness. Mad? He is unworthy. Why? Su Luo's pink-colored thin lips pouted. Both are people that have fallen from that faraway place. Why would I be mad at him? The corner of Rongyun's mouth raised up, carrying a sour and bitter smile. Both were people that had fallen from that faraway place? Su Luo had always been exceptionally intelligent. She would understand with just a bit. Rongyun had already said things so clearly. How could Su Luo not think of it? Sure enough. Her mother really could be called a beauty that could enchant all. A sentence of both were people that had fallen from that faraway place directly dispelled Su Luo, this little tadpole's idea that Purgatory City's master was her dad. Your mother. Rongyun always conducted himself proudly and indifferently. At this moment, Su Luo saw a thread of great change on his half-bent-down face. Su Luo opened wide her pair of huge clear and monochrome eyes, with lights of curiosity flashing from their depths. Master, you quickly say, don't stop. The curiosity in Su Luo's heart scattered all over the place. She just lacked pouncing over, her hand swaying Master's arm and acting cute. Right now, half of Rongyun's body leaned against the circular tutor chair. His eyes were half raised towards the deep blue sky. He only sat there unmoving, silent, not saying a word, but making it impossible to ignore his strong existence. His face clean and not tainted with a speck of dust. His expression was pensive, as if sunk into memories of the past and hard to extricate himself. Your mother perhaps at this time, no one was worthy of her. Rongyun leaned against the tutor chair and raised a brow to look towards Su Luo. Today little Jing said a sentence that wasn't right. Little Jing? Su Luo's forehead had a stumped expression. After quite a long time, she finally reacted. Could this little Jing be referring to Emperor Jing? Su Luo's pitch-black eyes blinked and did not interrupt. Because she knew, Master hadn't finished speaking. Sure enough, after quite a while, Rongyun's voice once again sounded faintly by Su Luo's ears. Chapter 1495, Ultimate Showdown 7. Your mother at your age. Rongyun looked at Su Luo with disdain. You're not equal to the hem of her robe. Su Luo widened her eyes immediately. What does not equal to the hem of her robe even mean? Just how amazing was she? Not convinced. Rongyun's face glittering like jade carried a trace of smile, as if lost in a beautiful memory. His voice carried a complacent charm. Your mother was 10th rank when she was 10. At 13, she reached commander rank. At 15, saint rank. At 18, monarch rank. She was the youngest to enter monarch rank in the recent 1,000 years. No way. Su Luo almost choked on her own saliva. This kind of promotion speed simply made Su Luo feel her hair stand on ends. If you must know, she was about to be 18 and had just been promoted to 9th rank. But her mother at 10 years old was 10th rank. Commander rank at 13. Saint rank at 15. Monarch rank at 18. Was there a greater evildoer than that? Really was comparing people would frighten people to death. However, Su Luo quickly came back to her senses, and asked doubtfully. That's not right. Wasn't it said that the #1 most talented person in the world was called Di Shirtian? Grandmaster Rongyun shook his head. Di Shirtian indeed was not bad, but still could not be compared to your mother. Su Luo's eyes sparkled. But this matter seems to not have spread around? Rongyun's face opened in a smile. Rongyun had a beauty that could steal people's souls as he looked at Su Luo and smiled. The members of Wuxia kept all the information secret. Also because of this, almost the entire continent hadn't heard of Yanhua's name. Even though her strength reached the level that defied the laws of nature. Wuxia? Su Luo cried out in surprise. You've heard about them? Rongyun asked calmly. Yes, at that time in Western Jin Palace, Old Emperor once mentioned a bit. He said northernmost Xianyuan imperial family was destroyed by Wuxia. Su Luo said according to the truth. Rong Yun suddenly laughed, his laughing face holding a pondering meaning. Master, could it be that there is still a mystery in this? Su Luo asked curiously. Master normally kept those secrets hidden very tightly, he wouldn't easily say them. Now it was rare to see him start talking. Naturally, she must seize this opportunity to dig out a bit more of the inside story. Who knows when the next time Master would be in this mood, and how long after this it would be. Northern Mo, Xianyuan family, haha. Rong Yun laughed softly several times, his gaze was deep and tranquil. This matter you brought up does have something to do with your mother. Oh, Xianyuan family's destruction had something to do with her honorable mother, that possessed remarkable abilities. Although Wuxia was an organization of assassins, they wouldn't willfully slaughter the innocent. At that time, a young prince from the Xianyuan family took liberties with your mother, therefore, death was preordained. Rong Yun's eyes carried a gentle smile. Su Luo immediately was astonished. Her real mother, hiccup, just because somebody took liberties with her, destroyed the whole Xianyuan royal family? How powerful of an existence was her mother a goddess Su Luo directly gave a thumbs up in approval. Of course, it wasn't your mother who did it. How could we let her dirty her hands? There were plenty of people who would do it for her. Rong Yun's shallow phoenix eyes narrowed slightly, and smiled with interest. At that time, if she furrowed her eyebrows, the whole continent would tremble 3 times. What's funny was that most people didn't know your mother's existence. The amount of people who knew about your mother's existence, you wouldn't need 10 fingers to count them all. No wonder with mother's natural gift, strength and charm. There were no rumors spread around the continent about mother's matter. It turned out that the measures to keep this secret was very good. No wonder such a woman, no wonder Fairy Yanxia would go mad out of jealousy. Chapter 1496. Ultimate Showdown. 8. One might ask, whether it was Yanhua's facial features, charm, natural gift and everything else she had, which one wasn't she first in the world? Under the heaven, which woman would not go mad with jealousy? Su Luo was very curious. What happened to her mother afterwards? How was she placed in Su Manor by Master to raise? Who had Master wanted to avoid? Su Luo's eyes were filled with curiosity, just when she was about to take advantage of Master's talkativeness and ask a question. Suddenly, Grandmaster Rong Yun waved his sleeves and changed the topic of the conversation. Are you confident you can beat Liaochen? The topic changed slightly too fast, so fast that Su Luo felt as if a fishbone was stuck in her throat. She wanted to ask about matters that year. She was curious about that year's secret, but Su Luo placed both of her hands on the table, hung her head dejectedly and cupped her cheeks. Not confident. You also know you're not confident? Rong Yun's cold eyes swept her a displeased glance. If you let me release Elder Ancestor Mo, not to mention Liaochen, even Dongfang Xian wouldn't be a problem. Su Luo slapped the table heroically. You dare to let him out? Rong Yun asked casually. Su Luo suddenly wilted and replied softly. I wouldn't dare. If she dared let Elder Ancestor Mo out during the battle, the outcome could be very, very tragic. Not mentioning the rest, Central Palace's Mo family would gather all their strength to chase and kill her. Liaochen seems to want to kill me. Su Luo remembered the words Liaochen said earlier that day. Accusing people behind their backs, and whatnot was something Su Luo did smoothly. He wouldn't dare. Rong Yun's sharp eyes shone with bloodthirst, cold and penetrating. They held a murderous sharpness, domineering like a king. Su Luo always saw Master being calm and peaceful, never saw Master's angry side. Of course, normally, when Master peacefully and kindly looked at her, she could still feel an invisible pressure. But now when Master's domineering aura was exposed, this feeling was very strong. If I don't let Elder Ancestor Mo out, then Disciple really has no way. Su Luo spread her arms. Her voice was weak and carried a flavor of being naive. She knew. Master normally really believed her when she behaved like this. As expected, Master Rong Yun's face turned better, and he glanced at Su Luo sideways in annoyance. If you could beat him, why would this teacher ask you to come over? Su Luo. like a snake winding on a rod, immediately went to Aster Rongyun's side in a kissing up to him manner. She sat by his side and shook his arm. Master, what must I do to beat him? Li Aochen was 10th rank. To fight someone above one's rank was too hard. Grandmaster Rongyun snorted coldly, but he didn't swat away Su Luo's little paws that were rocking his arm back and forth. Take it. Rongyun tossed out a red jade pendant to Su Luo. What is this? Su Luo picked up the pendant and curiously looked it over. But as she was examining it, she realized that it was just an ordinary pendant. There was no secret to it. Pour your spiritual power in it. Rongyun looked at the silly girl and had no choice but to give directions. Oh, Su Luo got the direction. Afterwards, she closed her eyes and poured in some spirit force slowly into this seemingly normal fire red jade pendant. Once Su Luo's spirit thoughts entered the jade pendant, she felt her spirit arrive on a battle stage. This battle stage gave Su Luo a very familiar feeling. Isn't this the fighting stage from the Roaming Dragon list competition? Su Luo looked around suspiciously. It was empty everywhere. There were no spectators below the stage. There were no judges. Only her, standing alone on the stage. Suddenly, a figure rushed towards Su Luo like an artillery shell. Su Luo, hand over your life. At this time, Li Aochen's pair of hands clenched a sword, charging towards Su Luo aggressively. The cold sword in his hand hacked down. Chapter 1497, Simulated Battle, 1. Su Luo's heart jumped from being startled by that roar. She wanted to move but discovered that her speed was like the slow motion in movies, so slow as to make her want to spit out blood. Slash. A clear sound rang by Su Luo's ear. Afterwards, Su Luo watched as her body was chopped in two. Just like firewood being split in the middle, falling to both sides without a sound. Su Luo directly was stunned. After that, before she could react, she saw a white light flash before her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, Su Luo discovered that she had returned to reality. Master was smiling as he sat in front of her. Master. Su Luo wiped away at the cold sweat on her forehead. With lingering fear, she patted her chest. Just now, the feeling of dying was too real, giving her a feeling as if it happened a lifetime ago. Rongyun's dark red thin lips hooked up. Too weak. Hiccup. Su Luo scratched her head in embarrassment. Just now, her performance was really bad. If this was the real battle, then now, her corpse would be lying on the ground. This jade pendant is. Su Luo could faintly feel what it was. Simulated battle. Rongyun also didn't keep her in suspense, and directly said it. The Li Aochen inside is his real strength. It can be like this? Su Luo's horizon was hugely expanded. This master of hers was really easy to use, actually able to simulate Li Aochen's real strength, also able to let her spirit enter the jade pendant, trying one time after another. There is only a month of time before the next competition. Rongyun always spoke calmly, but it was incomparably sharp. Su Luo immediately wilted. A month's time. Simply not enough, After all, Li Aochen was 10th rank, and she was merely a recently promoted little 9th rank. Between 9th rank and 10th rank was a huge divide. The gap was very big. If the day of the competition, you still can't win, then just forfeit. Rongyun used the corner of his eyes to glance at Su Luo, his eyes containing a kind of coldness. Disciple will use her best effort. Su Luo seriously nodded. Her eyes were incomparably tenacious. Su Luo turned and left. Her slender back view had a coldness and aloofness, but mostly, it was very resolute. Seeing her leave, Rongyun caressed the white jade thumb ring on his finger. His eyes were half narrowed. In its pitchback depths were an intoxicating tenderness. Luo Luo, you will win. Rongyun smiled gently. He told Su Luo about Yanhua's matter from before, not because he had nothing else to do, but rather because he knew that in Su Luo's bones was the same stubborn and unwillingness to concede character as Yanhua. Su Luo left in large strides. After returning to Southern Mountain and leaving a sentence to hand over matters, she directly went into closed-door cultivation. Inside the room, Su Luo had both legs crossed as she sat on a cushion. She looked at the fiery red jade pendant in her hand, and recalled the feeling of despair enveloped by death. She took a deep breath, then closed her eyes and her spirit entered the jade pendant. Su Luo had just entered when she saw Li Aochen brandishing the cold sword and rushing towards her. Hateful Li Aochen! Su Luo formed imprints with both hands, and very quickly, a fire shield appeared in front of her. The orange-colored flame burned, full of menace and blocking Li Aochen's path forward. However, before Su Luo could release a breath of relief, Li Aochen suddenly became a lunatic, disregarding everything and directly rushing into the sea of fire. Immunity to fire element? A threat of shock appeared in Su Luo's eyes. However, the situation was critical, so she didn't have time to think. Su Luo switched her hand imprint, and quick formed more wood element ones, and the golden vine flew out from her sleeves. It quickly shot towards Li Aochen's right wrist. Chapter 1498, Simulated Battle, 2. The golden vine's strength was very good, immediately wrapping around Li Aochen's wrist, stopping him. Ah! Li Aochen wrathfully howled. Su Luo, go die! Although the golden vine wrapped around Li Aochen's right wrist to a stop, but it could not stop his pace of rushing forward. Without the right hand, Li Aochen still had his left hand. Swoosh, one after another, ice knives shot towards Su Luo's face. Li Aochen was also an ice element mage. The distance between the two was very close. Su Luo simply didn't have time to dodge. After a countless number of ice knives shot into Su Luo's body, Su Luo could clearly feel the fierce pain that would drive a person crazy when the ice knives pierced through the skin. PFF. Suddenly, a sharp ice knife tip directly pierced Su Luo's chest where her heart was. Su Luo lowered her head and stared blankly at the handle of the ice knife that didn't enter her body, a trace of ire flashing through her eyes. Dead, not even 3 moves, and she was once again killed by Li Aochen. As expected, Li Aochen's strength was a lot more powerful than hers. If she didn't have this stimulated battle gifted by Master, if this was the real battle stage, then how could Su Luo still have her life right now? Su Luo unwillingly closed her eyes. Soon after, she was kicked out of the simulated battle stage. Inside the room, with great difficulty, Su Luo opened both eyes. At this moment, her forehead was already soaked in cold sweat. Her pitch black as ink, messy hair was stuck to her forehead. Her chest violently moved up and down, and she gasped for breath coarsely. Li Aochen, your strength really makes one sit up and take notice. However, I definitely won't lose. Su Luo bit her lower lip. The expression in her eyes was incomparably firm. Su Luo knew that the time for her wasn't enough. This time, she couldn't enter her space like before and obtain tenfold in time than other people. Now the time left was real time. 1 month was just 1 month. Su Luo didn't even think, directly closed her eyes, and rushed into the simulated battle stage like an artillery shell. Just like this, Su Luo rushed in time and time again, and was killed time and time again, then kicked out. Time passed, bit by bit. Su Luo couldn't remember how many times she had battled. On the virtual fighting stage, Su Luo loudly panted for breath. Her gaze was like electricity, staring fixedly at Li Aochen facing her. Su Luo was soaked from head to toe, as if she was fished out of water. Her hair was completely drenched, and her bangs messily stuck to her forehead. Sweat soaked through her clothes. This still wasn't enough. The sweat rolled down her clothes to the ground, drop by drop. Sweat rolled into her eyes. It stung so much that it made Su Luo frown slightly from the pain. But she still gritted her teeth, not saying a word, staring fixedly at Li Aochen who was facing her. Su Luo could clearly sense the flesh on her body, because of the high degree of difficulty of battle, was already exhausted. All the cells in her body were crying out to rest. Su Luo even discovered that her mind had started to dim. However, she absolutely could not relax. Su Luo gritted her teeth and told herself, continue to persevere on, persevere a bit, and she would be able to defeat Li Aochen. Moreover, she was increasingly approaching the limit, which was the critical point to breaking through. How could Su Luo waste such a good opportunity? Therefore, even if she was in extreme pain, even if she was beaten to the point of fainting, her tenacious instinct made her stand there straight as a pine tree. Across from her was Li Aochen. Compared to the beginning, where one sword chop would easily split Su Luo into 2, The Li Aochen right now already couldn't completely grasp Su Luo. Now he was forced into a very dangerous situation by Su Luo. Su Luo was exhausted, and Li Aochen wasn't any better. Chapter 1499, Simulated Battle 3. At this moment, Li Aochen's clothes was tattered, and the sword in his hand had even more cuts on it. He used the cold sword to prop himself up so he wouldn't fall down. Just at this moment, Su Luo released her strongest attack. Strike of Thunder. Su Luo gave a heavy grunt, and the Chang'ing sword in her hand changed into a brilliant, dazzling sword of light, as it stabbed unwaveringly towards Li Aochen's body. Watching as the Chang'ing sword flew over to stab him, a sinister expression flashed through Li Aochen's eyes. The him right now was all spent, simply couldn't ward off Su Luo's attack. But just like this and asking him to watch Su Luo live while he died? How was this possible? Li Aochen used up all of his strength, and fiercely tossed out the cold sword in his hand. The cold sword made an arc in midair and shot towards Su Luo's chest, nearest to her heart. This move contained Li Aochen's final spirit force, incomparably strong and formidable. Right now, Su Luo, who was beaten to exhaustion, simply had nowhere to escape to. The Chang'ing sword ruthlessly pierced Li Aochen's heart. But at the same time, the cold sword also pierced Su Luo's chest. Su Luo's heart was extremely depressed, but she still had to accept this reality. In the end, she closed both eyes and sank into a swamp-like darkness. The two people both perished, no one winning against the other. A white light flashed by and Su Luo was directly ejected from the simulated battle stage. Inside the room, Su Luo slowly opened her eyes. Right now, her complexion was pale, and her lips were colorless. Her eyes were even more bloodshot. Continuously battling for more than 20 days. Even if it was only her spirit that entered, whereas her body itself won't be injured. But Su Luo's mental strength had received a strong shock. Moreover, for these more than 20 days, she simply hadn't closed her eyes to sleep. Su Luo closed her eyes and the images from the battle before appeared in her mind. Li Aochen had a lot of trump cards, but just now, she forced him to stake everything in that one last move. It could be seen that all of his trump cards had been used. When she opened her eyes again, Su Luo's eyes were sober and clear, full of confidence. From in the beginning, where she was completely being oppressed, until now where she was able to fight to a draw with Li Aochen, to a state where they had both perished in the end. Her progress could be said to be very great. Su Luo knew that as long as she had a little bit more time, she would be able to defeat Li Aochen. Su Luo had no time to rest. After taking a deep breath, she once again rushed into the simulated battle stage. Because she always remembered what Master said. If she couldn't beat the Li Aochen inside, she could only voluntarily forfeit. But if she couldn't get the rank of second place, she wouldn't be able to marry Nangong Luyin. How could she let this happen? Therefore, in Su Luo's subconscious, even if she was to die, she still needed to get this second place. Su Luo continued to arduously fight on the simulated battle stage. But Su Luo's opponent right now seemed leisurely and carefree. Jade Lakesley family's distinguished courtyard. Under the grapevines, fresh fruits and snacks were arranged on a little table. On a red clay little stove simmered a strong fragrant wine. Li Aochen and Li Yaoyuan sat opposite to each other. Last time Nangong Luyin and Luo Haoming's competition made our Jade Lakesley family lose miserably. Li Yaoyuan seemed indifferent, but how could the hatred that flitted through his eyes fool anyone? The corner of Li Aochen's mouth hooked up unnoticeably. Really? Li Yaoyuan was very dissatisfied with Li Aochen's indifferent attitude. What kind of attitude is this of yours? You are the newly appointed young master. That means the next palace master. Afterwards, all of Jade Lakesley family's things will be handed over to you. Li Yaoyuan reprimanded with these two sentences. Li Aochen still indifferently smiled. He topped up the wine cup in front of him full of wine. He picked it up, closed his eyes and sniffed it contentedly. Soon after, he drained the cup in one gulp. Chapter 1500 Simulated Battle 4. Then what is Honorable Father's meaning? Li Aochen's lips hooked into a malicious arc, his pair of eyes flashing with light. This time, you must win against Su Luo. Li Yaoyuan issued this command, Must win. Li Aochen suddenly laughed out loud. He blinked his eyes and stared at him in disbelief. Could honorable father think that I will lose? Li Yaoyuan gave a snort. Although Li Aochen was 10th rank, however, recalling the opponent was Su Luo, that loathsome girl, Li Yaoyuan was no longer calm. Inevitably, he had a bad premonition. That girl is extremely sly, can't predict her based on conventional reasoning. In short, whatever the case, you must defeat her. Li Yaoyuan coldly snorted several times. But you need not kill her. Honorable father is worried about Grandmaster Rong Yin? The corner of Li Aochen's eyes curved up sinisterly. Although Li Yaoyuan doesn't want to admit it, he had no choice but to admit to this point. Grandmaster Rong Yin is very overprotective. If you were to directly kill Su Luo, that loathsome girl on the stage, can't guarantee Grandmaster Rong Yin won't get angry and make a move. At that time, even your grandfather might not be able to protect you, so it's not necessary. Honorable father, rest assured, I know what to do. Li Aochen's eyes were full of a sinister smile. In fact, he simply never viewed the 9th-ranked Su Luo as an opponent. Wanting to kill her was something that could be done anytime, anywhere. Therefore, he was not anxious to kill her on the stage. Although your two older brothers weren't directly harmed by her, but it still had something to do with her. There's also Yao Yao. Mentioning Li Yaoyao, Li Yaoyuan's face immediately sank down. If it were not for that loathsome girl, Nangong Luyan and Li Yaoyao wouldn't get to this step. Although that Dongfang Xian seemed to spoil Yao Yao, but Li Yaoyuan always felt that Dongfang Xian's body gave off a very dishonest aura. It was a feeling he couldn't describe. Seeing Li Yaoyuan mention Li Yaoyao, a trace of ridicule flitted through Li Aochen's eyes. But his eyes hanged low and drained the wine in his cup in one gulp. At the same time, the words in his throat were swallowed with the drinking of the wine. Pausing a bit, Li Yaoyuan suddenly said, "This time, us Li family will use everything to support you." "Oh, how are you going to support me?" Li Aochen's tone had a trace of indifference. The last match, us Li family lost thoroughly. Lost a total of 80,000 green-colored crystal stones. Li Yaoyuan, mentioning this matter, the veins on his forehead protruded out, looking very malevolent. 80,000 green-colored crystal stones, it was all Li Yaoyao's fault. So many. Li Aochen's eyes half-narrowed dangerously. He remembered that when he was very young, in order to steal a very small red-colored crystal stone to cultivate, not only was he chased and bitten by a ferocious wolf bear, he was even beaten half to death by people. In the end, he laid in bed for a full 3 months before he could barely get out of bed. But now, Li Yaoyao had directly lost 80,000 green-colored crystal stones. Li Yaoyao was really generous, Therefore, this time, you must win back all of those crystal stones. Li Yaoyuan's eyes were full of determination as he heavily slapped the table. Honorable father, rest assured. How could your son lose to that loathsome girl? Li Aochen was full of self-confidence. He simply didn't feel that there was a possibility he would lose. This father believes in you. Li Yaoyuan's face had a gratified smile. Li Aochen, at such a young age, was already 10th ranked. This made him very gratified. If he was to let Li Aoyan or Li Aoqiong to participate, how could those two brothers be as mature as Li Aochen? Therefore, it could be said it's a blessing in disguise. Losing those two sons allowed him to gain a super talented son. Chapter 1501 Simulated Battle 5. The more Li Yaoyuan thought, the happier he was. Finally, he drank until he was intoxicated before leaving. Su Luo, the you right now must be cultivating very hard, right? Li Aochen's mouth hooked into a sinister sneer. A pity, what's the use of doing things at the last minute? TSK. Li Aochen disdainfully shook his head. Afterwards, he leaned against the chair, very satisfied and relaxed, and raised his eyes to look at the sky. He would lose? How was that possible? Even if you kill him, he wouldn't believe it. Thinking of this, Li Aochen took out a wallet from his side, tossing it up and down, playing with it. Looks like he could also go earn some pocket money to spend. Tomorrow the battle was about to begin. Su Luo, are you ready? Li Aochen's mouth curved up sinisterly. At this time, Su Luo was still engaged in continuous battles. Time and time again. The later it was, the longer the battle would take. The two people were deadlocked, no one could beat the other. At this moment, on Su Luo's forehead, her arms, as long as skin was exposed, it was all drenched in blood. Su Luo violently gasped for breath, and let her perspiration flow down like rainwater. Her brows couldn't help but wrinkle a bit. But wave after wave of acute pain came from her wounds. Su Luo took a deep breath. With great difficulty, she kept her mind from going fuzzy. Su Luo knew she couldn't move. The Li Aochen she faced also wasn't in any better of a circumstance. Li Aochen, at this moment, his arm had already been hacked flying by Su Luo. Blood rushed out like a hurricane. He was so furious that he almost started to jump up and down. However, he didn't dare move half a step, because if he moved, he would reveal a gap. Having a gap was to give the opponent an opportunity to attack him. The two people stood opposite of each other, eyes narrowed dangerously, both staring unwaveringly at the other. Time passed by in minutes and seconds. After a period, bright rays of dawn broke through the darkness. In the sky, it was full of orange-red clouds. Southern Mountain. Outside of Su Luo's room, Bai Qinying and Zi Yan stood next to each other. The two people's expression were at a loss. How about you knock on the door? Zi Yan thought for a bit, put down her hand and let Bai Qinying take her spot. Bai Qinying lifted his hand. Just as his fingers were about to touch the door, he foolishly stopped there. He turned his head to ask Zi Yan, "Is it really okay to do it like this? What if Luo Luo is at a critical point of her cultivation? Could it disturb her until she enters recoil of madness?" Zi Yan was at a loss, looking at the time of the day. If we don't go now, then we won't make it. At that time, Luo Luo would be automatically eliminated from the competition. Then maybe it's better if you do it? Bai Qinying weakly gave up the spot. Yu Ziyan, panting in rage, stepped on him and harshly glared at him. "Fine, I'll do it." Ziyan stood in the spot Bai Qinying had vacated. With difficulty, she made some mental preparations. Afterwards, she gracefully lifted her hand. Just when her hand was one thumb's distance from the door, suddenly, she discovered her body couldn't move. Ziyan immediately lost her head out of fear. But before she could utter a cry of fear, a clear and cold voice noiselessly sounded by her ear. "Don't disturb her." Third senior brother. Ziyan discovered her body could move again, and happily turned her head back. Nangong Luyan was dressed in a light blue embroidered robe, standing with his back to the light. The orange color light of the daybreak came from his back. The contrast made him look like a god from the 9th layer of heaven. So handsome as to be indescribable, so beautiful as to make people choke. That imposing, noble and graceful bearing that came from his whole body made people feel that an extra glance at him would be blaspheme. "Then, what are we to do now?" Ziyan shook her head and drove away the incomparably beautiful image of Nangong Luyan from her mind. Chapter 1502 Simulated Battle 6. Third senior brother was too handsome, and his mind was also very two-faced. If you were not careful, he would steal your soul. She didn't like him a bit. Comparing the two, she felt Bai Qinying was more lovable. "Wait." Nangong Luyan left this word, turned around and walked into the hall. Nangong Luyan left. Bai Qinying and Ziyan could only slavishly follow behind him. Ziyan thought a bit and still felt uneasy. "But third senior brother, there isn't enough time left." "Ah, there is still time." Nangong Luyan calmly sat on the chair, unhurriedly picked up a cup of green tea, and sniffed as if nothing was happening. Ziyan was so anxious that she stamped her feet. "There is a great distance from Southern Mountain to the battle stage. At least, you should reserve a stick of incense's time, right? But from now to the start of the competition, is only one stick of incense time. Ah." How was it that third senior brother wasn't anxious? This really was that the emperor wasn't anxious but the eunuch was. She was worried to death. Ziyan was so anxious that she just lacked stomping her feet inside the room. Because if they hurried and start out now, the time left was already very tight. The corner of Nangong Luyan's mouth hooked up slightly, as he instructed. "Sit, wait." Ziyan looked towards Bai Qinying. Bai Qinying helplessly shrugged his shoulders, finally sighing to say, "This time's bet, guess we'll lose it all." "How much did you bet?" Ziyan asked curiously. That gambling house. She was also one of the partners. Everything. Bei Qining sighed. The news Su Luo passed over was to bet 300,000 crystal stones for her to win. This, Ziyan with great difficulty swallowed. When did this matter happen? Last night. Bei Qining spread out his hand. Her little divine dragon had a piece of paper in his mouth. Here, it's this one. Bei Qining took the piece of paper from his chest pocket and let everyone look. 300,000 crystal stones. Ah, Ziyan sighed. If we take this out to buy land, at least we could flip it several times. But now it's lost, even a shadow couldn't be seen. If she was to go and compete, at least there is still a slight chance of winning, but now, alas. Bei Qining sighed. Now was the tempo of automatically forfeiting. This isn't much, after all. Isn't it just 300,000 crystal stones? How could it be more important than Luo Luo cultivating? Ziyan returned to her senses and said with gritted teeth. Although she felt some heartache for the crystal stones, however, Luo Luo's cultivation was the most important thing. Who's going to lose? With a creak sound, the door opened, and Su Luo stood in front of everyone, wearing old-fashioned clothes. Right now, her hair was disheveled, face lacking any color. Her eyes were even bloodshot, and she cut a very sorry figure. But right now, her spirit was very good. A pair of pitch-black as ink eyes flickered with light so clear you could see to its depths. Luo Luo? Ziyan and Bei Qining stood up, pleasantly surprised. Why do you guys have the appearance of crying with joy? Is it worth it to be this happy seeing me? Su Luo beamingly looked at them. That's right. How many days is left to the competition? Days. Bei Qining exaggeratedly yelled out loud. There isn't even several minutes left, let alone days. Then why are you guys staying here so leisurely? Su Luo's complexion suddenly changed. She turned around to look at Bei Qining. Didn't I tell you to bet 300,000 crystal stones? Ah? Bet is set. Ah? Bei Qining helplessly sighed. But now it's only a minute from the start of the competition. Even if we were to rush over now, it's already too late. You guys. Su Luo almost rolled her eyes. You two fools. When it will start, the head judge will have the final say. Did you guys forget who my master is? Chapter 1503, Simulated Battle 7. With her master there, just a few words from him, wouldn't the time be mixed up and let it pass? These two fools, did they really think she would have to forfeit just because she was late? Then should we rush over now? Bei Qining used a question to ask. In fact, he mainly felt that Su Luo wouldn't be able to beat Li Aochen. Even if she went, it was in vain. Nangong Luyan stood up, his beautiful eyes containing a smile as he looked at Su Luo. Su Luo rolled her eyes at those two fools. Soon after, she grasped Nangong Luoyun's hand, and her body directly dodged. Huh? Luo Luo is gone. Bei Qining cried out in alarm. Third senior brother is also gone. Ziyan cried out from fear. In merely the blink of an eye, Su Luo had already returned to her original place. But Nangong Luoyun's figure couldn't be seen. Where's second brother? Where's third senior brother? Faced with these two people's questions, Su Luo didn't respond, directly grabbed their hands and offered a bit of advice. It's best if you guys close your eyes. What? Bei Qining asked curiously. But before he could ask it out loud, suddenly, a white light flashed through his head. A burst of severe vertigo flashed through his head. He didn't even have time to cry out in alarm before discovering that his feet were already firmly planted on the ground. Bei Qining opened his eyes and discovered that he was on the outer edge of the battle stage. Bei Qingying's back trembled. This, he had a feeling of dreaming. This is teleport. Su Luo, smiling happily, explained to the two of them. It hadn't been long since Su Luo learned teleport, and she didn't tell them the specifics. So, in their memories, they had already forgotten this matter of Su Luo knowing how to teleport. Now that Su Luo took them on this route, they would never forget it for the rest of their lives. Such a fast speed. Bei Qining repeatedly said while being deeply moved. Merely in the blink of an eye, and they had already arrived. Let us go in. Su Luo smiled and was led along the hand by Nangong Luyan. One tall and one short figure walked in front. Bei Qining and Ziyan also hurriedly caught up with them. Now the atmosphere on the stage was already very enthusiastic. Li Aochen stood on the battle stage by himself. He scanned all around and didn't see Su Luo's figure. That mocking smile at the corner of his mouth became increasingly obvious. When his gaze swept past that almost burned to the end stick of incense, his brows stirred up slightly. Looked like Su Luo was about to forfeit. To be defeated without fighting really was shameful. Now under the stage was all kinds of discussion. Why hasn't Su Luo showed up by now? I even bet she would win. Are you an idiot? Isn't this obvious? Li Aochen's strength would completely win over Su Luo, and you actually still went to bet Su Luo to win. I was only thinking of it being a great upset, okay? Moreover, betting Su Luo win is a 1-4 return. Ha ha ha, but Su Luo simply doesn't dare to appear. This is called automatically forfeiting, do you understand? Su Luo able to enter the top 4 was already due to ancestors' blessing. How could she still enter the top 2? This is impossible. Su Luo's forfeit is an expected matter. Even if Su Luo came, she could only lose completely. She choosing to forfeit is reasonable and fair. One after another, comments sounded chaotically under the stage. It was very noisy. On the stage, the mockery in Li Aochen's eyes became increasingly clear. Honorable Father even told him to be careful, telling him this long-windedly and non-stop. The result, Su Luo simply forfeited. What's more laughable than this? Li Aochen looked at that incense that was about to burn out, and lightly laughed out loud. Su Luo, Su Luo, so it turned out you are such a coward. How could this kind of you be worthy of being my, Li Aochen's opponent? Chapter 1504. Simulated Battle. 8. At this moment, he turned his head to look towards Grandmaster Rong Yun. Now Li Aochen was just waiting for Grandmaster to declare the result of this match. Grandmaster's eyes were like seawater that could see far, unfathomable depths. He stood up calmly, eyes looking toward the distance, quiet and silent. This kind of him, no one dared to utter things to disturb him. Only a final trace of incense left. Suddenly bright then dark. Grandmaster Rong Yun slowly sighed. Everyone also sighed with him. Time was up and Su Luo still hadn't arrived. This means she forfeited. Just at this critical moment, just when Jade Lakesley family laughed rampantly and wantonly suddenly, Su Luo flew over from mid-air, firmly landing on the battle stage. Li Aochen, do you want to voluntarily forfeit? Su Luo coldly smiled, the corner of her mouth hooking into a wicked smile. Because Li Aochen was already at the edge of the battle stage, only waiting for Grandmaster Rong Yin to declare the result of the match. He would then walk toward the Jade Lakesley's family VIP seat. But Su Luo caught everyone off guard and appeared. You actually came? Li Aochen looked at this extremely unparalleled beautiful miss in front of him, and he frowned slightly. What? Don't dare to fight with me? Su Luo's smile was demonic and wanton. Not dare to fight with you? It seemed as if Li Aochen heard the most ridiculous joke in the world and laughed loudly. Su Luo, you are the person with the thickest skin I have ever seen. There isn't anyone else. Seems like you really have seen too little of the world. Su Luo's lips flipped in ridicule. Right now, it could be said that Su Luo was very eager to battle. Eager to give everything a try, just waiting to be famous from just one fight. Li Aochen, now, I can still let you be arrogant for a little while. Wait until the battle starts. You will know how great this miss is. The more Su Luo thought, the prouder she felt. But this Li Aochen, this pitiful child, didn't know. He completely didn't know. All of his trump cards had all been shown to Su Luo. Moreover, within this month's time, Su Luo had continuously battled a copy of him. She understood every one of his moves more deeply than he himself. Li Aochen, make your move. Su Luo indifferently stood in place, her lips slowly curving up. Li Aochen saw that Su Luo was determined to fight and couldn't help but sneer several times. Fists and feet don't speak. Are you certain you want to fight? If you admit defeat right now, you can still go down unharmed. Do you think I would personally come onto the battle stage under thousands of eyes in order to admit defeat to you? Did something happen to my ears, or is it your brain that's defective? Su Luo felt that Li Aochen had too many superfluous words. Chapter 1505. Become famous with one battle. 1. After fighting for more than 1,000th time on the simulated stage, Su Luo could calculate where Li Aochen's sword would land even with her eyes closed. Now, a cold smile appeared at the corner of Su Luo's mouth. Soon after, her feet shifted rapidly. As a result, Li Aochen's original thought of killing Su Luo with one sword strike completely came up empty. She actually was able to calculate where his sword would land? How was that possible? Must be a coincidence. Li Aochen would never believe that Su Luo could read his mind. Right now, he brandished the cold sword and ruthlessly stabbed toward Su Luo again. The soles of Su Luo's feet slid once again, accurately and easily avoiding this fatal strike. Li Aochen's eyes almost became vertical from seeing this. How was this possible? His 13 murderous spirit sword strike was his greatest trump card. Su Luo was merely an insignificant 9th rank. How could she avoid it? Moreover, looking at the place she walked to, it seemed as if she had anticipated this move, as if she knew where his sword would strike better than him. This was too strange. Right now, Li Aochen's mind was filled full of wild imagination. His gaze had a trace of suspicion when looking at Su Luo. The corner of Su Luo's mouth hooked into a thoughtful expression as she looked at him, full of interest. What? Admit defeat? Admit defeat? Ha 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 ha. Li Aochen laughed while tilting his head to the sky. Soon after, his finger coldly pointed towards Su Luo. Before I kill you, how can I admit defeat? Then bring it on. Su Luo calmly stood there, easily hooking her finger at him. Hateful. Li Aochen's heart was like thousands of horses rushing forward. He, at such a stately 10th rank, was actually looked down on by the insignificant 9th rank Su Luo. How could he swallow this? Receive this move? Li Aochen snarled, waving his cold sword as he rushed up. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. 10 continuously beheading chops landed, but every time, Su Luo was able to easily avoid it. Li Aochen glared at Su Luo with an expression of disbelief as if seeing a ghost. In the end, what's going on? Could it be that Su Luo had specifically trained to deal with his 13 murderous spirit sword strike? If not, how was it that he couldn't even touch the corner of her clothes? How could the pitiful Li Aochen know that on the simulated battle stage, Su Luo had fought with him a full 1,000 times? During that time 999 times Li Aochen would win. Until this morning, before the match, Su Luo had finally figured out Li Aochen's moves and had the confidence she could win. Li Aochen continuously attacked, using 13 murderous spirit sword strike, not to mention killing Su Luo. He couldn't even touch the edge of her cloth. This made him endlessly impatient. Under the stage, everyone watching was stupefied. What's going on? Li Aochen had chased and tried to kill her for so long, yet he still can't even touch a hair on Su Luo? Could it be Li Aochen is secretly trying to throw the match? Impossible. I heard the hatred between Jade Lake's Li family and Su Luo is irreconcilable. It's possible that he would kill Su Luo, but to secretly try to throw the match is absolutely something that will never happen. Then could it be Li Aochen's strength wasn't as strong as the rumors said? Are you stupid? His strength at the 10th rank is public knowledge? You think all those old ancestors' eyes are blind? That they won't be able to see whether he is 10th rank or not? Then that's to say, Su Luo has strength that surpasses the 9th rank. Once this was said, everyone was silent. When this competition just started, Su Luo made her public appearance as 8th rank. At that time, she was smeared with all kinds of accusations of dirty tricks. Everyone thought she didn't have the strength and relied on her master. But now how long has it been? Su Luo actually. Even the 10th ranked Li Aochen couldn't do anything to her. Under the stage, Nangong Luyan leaned into the VIP guest seat, using the most comfortable position. Chapter 1506. Become famous with one battle. 2. His Luo girl really was incomparably cute. Looks like he doesn't need to take out the thing he had prepared. She could take the ranking she ought to have by herself. Having a wife like this, what more could a husband ask for? Bei Chening was completely dumbfounded from watching. This person. Bei Chening couldn't speak. His pair of jet black eyes looked at Ziyan. Ziyan's expression wasn't that much different from Bei Chenying's. Her eyes were opened wide as she excitedly looked at the stage. She waved her fist. Luo Luo is too awesome, ah. Yes, she's very awesome, but don't you feel it's strange? The corner of Beichen Ying's mouth twitched. Li Aochen, ah, based on real strength, charged to the top 4 strong characters. How could he be an ordinary person? He originally thought Su Luo could only block 3 moves, but Li Aochen even used his trump card and still couldn't harm Su Luo a bit. This kind of result completely stunned Bei Chening. Not only was Bei Chening dumbstruck, everyone present was also dumbstruck. On Jade Lakesley family's VIP seats, Li Yaoyao's hands were clenched tightly into fists, eyes flickering with sinister light. This battle, originally, she was full of expectations. She originally thought Li Aochen would easily kill Su Luo, but she never expected that Li Aochen could do nothing to Su Luo. Li Yaoyuan's expression was darker than the bottom of a black pot, jet black like a pond full of ink. Li Aochen won't lose, right? Li Yaoyao bit her lower lip, with great difficulty grinding out this sentence. Shut up. Li Yaoyuan's voice was strict and coldly detached. His gaze was like a cold sword, in an ice-cold manner shooting towards Li Yaoyao. That gloomy and cold aura seemed to freeze Li Yaoyao in an instant. Li Yaoyao was sullen and indignant, but she had no other alternative. She could only turn around to stare at the stage. Senior brother had said that this time, Su Luo would certainly lose, so he simply didn't even have the interest to come and watch the match. But how was it that she felt? No, it must be a misperception. It was impossible for Su Luo to win. Li Yaoyao told herself this in her heart again and again. At this time, Li Aochen on the stage almost went mad from being pressured by Su Luo. Hateful. Hateful. The rage in Li Aochen's heart rushed out as he howled, igniting the rage into a flaming inferno. If a glance could kill people, Su Luo would have already died from 1,000 cuts. Li Aochen found that he chased after Su Luo like a fool. But no matter how hard he tried, how much he planned, it seemed as if Su Luo could read his mind. She always knew a step before where his strike would land. This gave him a feeling of being completely controlled by the opponent. Su Luo, you think like this you will win? Dream on. Li Aochen simply tossed away the cold sword in his hand. With a wave of his hand, a circular water stain appeared beneath Su Luo's feet. And this water stain was pitch black and gave off an odor of decay. Even if it was Li Aochen's greatest trump card, now, there was almost no one who knew Li Aochen had this move, because the people who knew had all died. Su Luo go die. Ha ha ha. Li Aochen was incited countless times by Su Luo. Now, he was on the edge of losing his mind. He completely forgot what Li Yaoyuan had told him to do before. Su Luo smiled faintly. Highly toxic putrid poison? You know? Li Aochen heard this and had a not-so-good premonition. He was a water system mage, and he had thoroughly researched the water system. He knew the attack power of water system was much weaker than ice and lightning system. Therefore, he had the idea of using poison. Dropping poison into the water system would quietly give people no place to escape. But now, Su Luo stood there so calmly, not dodging. Her expression was perfectly composed in the end. What did this mean? Could it be she was immune to this poison? Chapter 1507. Become famous with one battle 3. That's not right, ah. These toxic poisons, only an elite apothecary's body has the ability to resist such poison. Otherwise, there was simply no antidote. Therefore, Li Aochen had exceptional confidence in himself. Li Aochen's pair of eyes was full of excitement as he looked at Su Luo. You can even laugh? Haha. Wait until the poison spreads then die. This must be your last trump card? Su Luo not only didn't retreat, she even took a step into the water stain, step by step walking towards Li Aochen. Li Aochen stared at Su Luo as if looking at an idiot. You are not afraid to die? Do I look like I want to die to you? Su Luo smiled happily, both hands spread out. Looks like your last trump card isn't much use where I'm concerned. How was this possible? Absolutely impossible. Li Aochen's heart was intensely opposed to this idea. But the reality was that Su Luo stood steadily above that water stain. There was no trace of poison corroding her clothes, shoes, or socks. An ice-cold expression flashed through Li Aochen's eyes. What's going on? Why aren't you poisoned? Could it be that you don't know? I am already an elite apothecary, ah. Su Luo playfully played with her long hair, faintly glancing over. You elite apothecary. Li Aochen's eyes seemed as if it were about to pop out. Li Yaoyao, who had been on the road to being an apothecary before, she had especially mentioned Su Luo's situation in front of him. Her words were full of disdain, contempt and loathing. She had contemptuously said, so old and Su Luo was still an elementary apothecary. She said Grandmaster didn't have eyesight and had overlooked her, such a talented pearl, to chose Su Luo that waste. But now, only an elite apothecary could be immune to his infernal poison, okay? But Su Luo, this loathsome girl, didn't seem to be affected at all. Such a discovery almost made Li Aochen's entire person collapse. This is absolutely impossible. Li Aochen snarled. Merely an elite apothecary, what's so impossible about that? Su Luo carelessly smiled. At that time when Grandmaster Rongyun was accepting disciples, everyone knew you were only an elementary apothecary. It's been more than 2 years. Do you still think I would remain at that level? Su Luo blinked her eyes astutely. More than 2 years. 2 years to be promoted from elementary apothecary to intermediate apothecary, to advanced apothecary until elite apothecary. Fuck. Other people need at least 10 years to advance from elementary apothecary to intermediate apothecary, okay? At this moment, Li Aochen had an extremely painful headache. Is there a problem with this? Su Luo's pitch-black, glossy and clear eyes blinked. If there is no problem, then next, it's my turn to counterattack. Oh. Su Luo faintly smiled from the corner of her mouth, her eyes firm. Meeting Su Luo's pair of old, calm and deep eyes, Li Aochen felt a chill slowly rise from the soles of his feet. His back became stiff as he felt a chill on his back. Su Luo's mouth hooked up. Immediately after, she made her move. Su Luo simply did not give Li Aochen the chance to react. Because she wanted to become famous with one battle. With a wave of Su Luo's hand, a countless number of flames rushed towards Li Aochen. I thought it would be very difficult to deal with, but it's merely just some flame. Li Aochen slanted a despising glance at Su Luo. With a wave of his hand, the flames were extinguished. But after that, Su Luo once again launched another attack in succession. Her sleeves raised. In the time it took to wave her hand, nothingness of space directly enveloped down from Li Aochen's head. What kind of thing was this? Li Aochen could feel a slight change in the space around him. Chapter 1508. Become famous with one battle. For, although he couldn't feel it or see it, but that feeling of having his spirit force confined made cold sweat begin to come out from his forehead. A chill came from the bottom of his heart. Su Luo coldly smiled. With a wave of her hand, a golden vine shot towards Li Aochen. Li Aochen was originally absolutely able to block the attack by the golden vine, but his every move and technique was thoroughly understood by Su Luo. After confronting the enemy for 1,000 times, Su Luo understood Li Aochen better than he himself. So Su Luo controlled the golden vine, and directly attacked Li Aochen's pair of legs. Oh heavens! Li Aochen, his feet is actually tied up. Su Luo's speed was fast to this degree? In the end, what's going on? Many people rubbed their eyes, looking at the unimaginable scene on the stage. On the VIP seats, several elder ancestors' eyebrows wrinkled. They could feel the fluctuation of an out-of-ordinary spirit force. But specifically what it was, they couldn't sense it. However, they could clearly see Li Aochen's speed in an instant slowed down. Originally, he thought that based on his strength he could avoid the golden vine's attack, but now he was helpless. He could only look on helplessly as the golden vine tied up both of his legs. Su Luo, you think that like this, you can stop me? Dream on. Li Aochen condensed all the spirit force around his body, and pushed it towards his legs. It was merely a plant pet's vine and nothing more. How could it hold him? Li Aochen's heart was disdainful, and wasn't the least bit concerned. And in the next second, that ridiculing smile on his mouth became stiff. Can't destroy it? Try it again. Still can't destroy it? Cold sweat started to come out from Li Aochen's forehead. A mocking expression appeared in Su Luo's eyes. Collect! Her voice had just landed when the golden vine suddenly tightened. Then another vine branched of and tied towards Li Aochen's waist. Li Aochen shook his sleeves, a dagger appearing in his hand. Li Aochen focused all his spirit force and poured it into the dagger, then the dagger cut towards the golden vine. One dagger stabbed down, and the golden vine broke. But just at this time, Su Luo was already only 1 arm's distance from Li Aochen. Now, Su Luo had already arrived at Li Aochen's back. The incomparably sharp Yanhua dagger in her hand cut across towards Li Aochen's neck. Su Luo was an expert assassin. She used this move and finished off many people. At that time, Li Yaoxiang also died under Su Luo's assassin moves. But this time Su Luo failed. Her dagger slid across Li Aochen's neck, but wasn't able to stab down. In attack and defense, there was naturally a huge gap between 10th ranked and 9th ranked. Even with Li Aochen inside nothingness of space, even if both of his legs were bound with nowhere to escape, but Su Luo still couldn't break through his defense. Hateful. Su Luo cursed in a low tone. An expert's reaction was always with lightning speed. Su Luo's this move didn't work, and her figure immediately retreated back. At this moment, Li Aochen instinctively moved his spirit force, and the golden vine was broken apart completely. Su Luo, I'm going to kill you. Li Aochen was like a fierce tiger, brandishing the cold sword and directly rushing towards Su Luo. Just when he charged to a place not far from Su Luo suddenly, from Su Luo's arms, 2 white-colored things jumped towards Li Aochen. What are these things? A trace of doubt flashed through Li Aochen's heart. But his speed didn't slow down, still rushing towards Su Luo. At this time, the corner of Su Luo's mouth hooked into a faint sneer. The little spirit fox and the little divine dragon charged towards Li Aochen like bullets. One climbed to the top of his head, the other rushed towards his trousers. Ah! The little divine dragon directly slapped a palm strike towards Li Aochen's head. Li Aochen was caught off guard and cried out in pain. Chapter 1509, Become Famous with One Battle 5. As Li Aochen was fighting with the little divine dragon, Su Luo once again noiselessly slipped behind to Li Aochen's back and cut at his neck again. This cut was extremely sharp. It cut on the previous cut, and a red scar appeared once again. Everyone's eyes under the stage almost fell out from seeing this. This was too unimaginable. Su Luo could slip behind Li Aochen again, and again to repeatedly cut at his neck. If it was not for the instinctive strong defense of a 10th-ranked expert, Li Aochen would have already died twice by now, okay? But the problem was, Su Luo actually had this kind of strength. At this moment, Li Aochen was so angry that he yelled continuously. Although his strength was strong, the wound on his neck wasn't completely harmless. The soaking wet blood rushed out, saturating the entire wound, but very fortunately, it wasn't a fatal wound. But even if it wasn't, it still scared Li Aochen until his whole head was covered in cold sweat. While Li Aochen was avoiding being harassed by the 2 spirit pets, he also had to avoid Su Luo's attack. At the same time, he discovered that his speed had decreased by a lot. Meeting Su Luo's strange gaze on the other side, Li Aochen's heart trembled. Suddenly, he had an ominous premonition. Soundlessly, Su Luo once again slipped behind his back. I concede. Just before Su Luo's dagger sliced down, Li Aochen madly howled. Su Luo couldn't help but to secretly curse in her heart. Just now, this cut, she had Little Stone's assistance. It had the strength to directly break through Li Aochen's defense. If this cut landed, Li Aochen would shut up forever. But his perception was too sharp, and he was even able to lower his face. As the stately 10th rank, he was able to concede to her a 9th rank in front of so many people. Following the sound of Li Aochen conceding, the entire audience became silent. Everyone held their breath and watched the battle stage with rapt attention. Li Aochen lost. Li Aochen personally conceded. Li Aochen personally conceded to Su Luo. This thought circled in everyone's thoughts like lightning striking from clear sky. It hacked them until all of them stared blankly. It was after quite a while before everyone returned to their senses. Li Aochen actually lost? Then what about this daddy's money? Hateful Li Aochen. How could he lose like this? Su Luo is simply too awesome. Using the strength of a 9th rank, she was able to defeat a 10th-ranked expert. It's all because she relied on her spirit pets. Spirit pets are also a part of her strength. Whoever has the strength, they would also go subdue one. That's right, on the battle stage, there is no prohibition for spirit pets to participate in the fight. Su Luo really is very lucky, actually having two very strong spirit pets to accompany her. There is still a plant spirit pet. Everyone under the stage was discussing this spiritedly. On the VIP seats, Jade Lake's Li family. Li Yaoyuan's expression right now could use pitch black as ink to describe it. His pair of eyes was bloodshot, so malevolent as if he was about to eat someone. Hateful. Li Yaoyuan clenched his fists tightly, his fingernails inserting into his flesh, and was completely unaware of this. Li Yaochen actually lost? Li Yaoyuan simply couldn't imagine it. The Li Yaochen he was always optimistic about actually lost. He could have lost to anyone else, but actually lost to Su Luo. At this moment, Li Yaoyuan was so regretful that his intestines almost turned green. At that time when he heard of Su Luo, this loathsome girl's name, she was merely a fifth rank. Her existence was like an ant. Just stretch out a finger, and he could crush her. But how long had it been? In merely 2 years' time, Jade Lake's Li family's younger generation all lost to her. Chapter 15:10, Become Famous with One Battle 6, Li Yaotian, Li Yaoqiong, Li Yaoyao. There was also Li Yaochen. He, Li Yaoyuan, only had 4 children, and all actually lost in Su Luo's hands. Su Luo. Li Yaoyuan fumed between gritted teeth, grinding this out from the seams of his teeth. Clearly, he already hated Su Luo to the extreme. If Su Luo was to appear in front of him now, he would pounce on her like a wolf and tear her into pieces. However, when it rains, it pours. Just when Li Yaoyuan was furious to the point of being delirious, an indifferent voice sounded. "Oh, older brother Li, are you okay?" A handsome middle-aged person that looked like Bei Chening glanced over. Li Yaoyuan took a deep breath, strongly suppressed the anger in his chest, and indifferently nodded with meaning towards Bei Chenjing. Bei Chenjing was Bei Chenying's dad. This person, his temper was exactly the same as Bei Chening, really loved to create trouble. "Older brother Li, I heard yesterday that your Jade Lake's Li family carried a lot of boxes of crystal stones to the betting house." Bei Chenjing winked. The upwards curve at the corner of his lips couldn't hide his cheerful look. Humph. Li Yaoyuan stood up, tossed his sleeves and left. Li Yaochen, a stately 10th rank, lost to Su Luo, that 9th rank. He already lost a lot of face. If the matter of losing crystal stones were disclosed, how could Jade Lake's Li family not be embarrassed? Li Yaoyuan turned and wanted to leave, but on the contrary, Bei Chenjing didn't want him to leave. Hey, older brother Li, why are you leaving? I heard yesterday that you guys bet Li Yaochen would win, and bet a full 100,000 green-colored crystal stones. Really willing, Older brother Li, don't go, It couldn't help but be said that Bei Chening and his dad's temper were really too similar. Both were models of wishing the whole world would be in chaos. Bei Chenjing, this completely unconcealed voice, shouted out such that everyone at the scene could hear it clearly. Not only Jade Lake's Li family's people lost, they also lost crystal stones. And it was still a full 100,000 green crystal stones, Oh heavens! Momentarily, everyone present was stupefied. Under countless complicated gazes that watched, how could Li Yaochen still stand on the stage? He very fiercely shot a glare at Su Luo, then turned around and quickly left. Very quickly, he turned into a black dot, gradually getting further and further apart. Su Luo, in a relaxed manner and full of satisfaction, stepped off the stage. Bei Chening and Ziyan quickly rushed over. Ziyan directly gave Su Luo a bear hug. "How about it? Did you get injured?" Ziyan asked with deep concern. "Did you guys see Li Yaochen injury me?" Su Luo proudly winked. "No, it seemed as if he couldn't even touch the edge of your clothes," Ziyan said seriously. Bei Chenying's face was full of doubt. "In the end, what's going on? Li Yaochen, in your hands, was like a bird trapped in a cage. Couldn't completely use his powers, right?" Not only was Bei Chening bewildered, everyone else was also bewildered. Su Luo crossed her hands over her chest, raising an eyebrow with a ghost of a smile. "Unable to understand?" "Unable to understand." Bei Chening nodded in puzzlement. No matter how much he thought about it, he couldn't understand. "Want to know?" The corner of Su Luo's mouth hooked up. Want to know? Really want to know? Just like wanting to know Su Luo's background. Extremely curious. Su Luo extended a slender as jade hand and patted Bai Qinying's shoulder. She leaned close to him and tossed down a sentence. The more curious, the more I won't tell you. Afterwards, with a smile at the corner of Su Luo's face, she swaggered off in Nangong Liuyun's direction. In fact, this matter was really simple. Before, she fought with Li Aochen on the simulated battle stage for no less than 1,000 times. With one frown from Li Aochen, she would know the pattern of his next move. Moreover, after she released nothingness of space, Li Aochen's hands and feet were tied even more tightly. Chapter 15:11. Become famous with one battle 7. However, it's best to deal with Li Aochen as quick as possible, in case he found some clue through nothingness of space. At that time, linking her to being a space element mage, then the matter would be very bad. Nangong Liuyun's eyes were half-narrowed as he watched the slender figure leisurely come over. Su Luo walked with her back to the light, the sunlight casting a yellow radiance behind her, making her otherworldly beauty increasingly hard to make out. She was so beautiful that people couldn't shift their eyes away. Nangong Liyun stood up from the soft chair, his handsome face having a slight smile. He extended a hand and quietly watched her, like a Prince Charming who had waited for a long time. Su Luo smiled lightly. Her eyes contained emotions as she lifted her palm-sized little face. Her snow-white skin didn't have a trace of blemish, flawless. That pair of jet-black and clear eyes firmly met Nangong Liuyun's eyes, looking into the deepest part of each other's heart. Time seemed to stop at this moment. Such a beautiful image. A countless number of hearts at the scene all gave a delayed sigh full of feelings. Before, they always felt Su Luo was a good-for-nothing, and that His Highness Prince Jin was a genius. Su Luo, from inside to outside, was completely unfit to be with His Highness Prince Jin. She had completely social climbed beyond her worth. But at this moment right now, almost everyone subconsciously felt this was the real perfectly matched pair of Jade Annulus. There wasn't a pair more suited than them. But the absolute majority didn't include Li Yaoyao. At this moment, Li Yaoyao stood in Li family's VIP seating area. Her pair of eyes seemed to shoot out flames. Her hands were tightly clenched into fists, and her sharp fingernails sunk deep into her palm. However, she didn't feel a thread of pain. Hateful. Hateful. Hateful Su Luo, how was it that you didn't go and die? The rage in Li Yaoyao's heart was like the lava from an erupting volcano, making half the sky red. She needed to take deep breaths one at a time before barely being able to suppress the sinister demon in her heart. Li Yaoyao looked at that one tall and one short figure not far away, and the crazed jealousy in her eyes was hardly concealed. The man was extremely handsome, graceful, and noble. The woman was a peerless beauty, with ice flesh and jade for bones. They looked at each other, wrapped around their mutual deep feelings, like a perfect pair made in heaven. This kind of image deeply stabbed at Li Yaoyao's heart. She always showed a deep hatred towards Nangong Liuyun. Always showed that she didn't mind. But having loved someone deeply for 10 years, how could one sentence of "I don't care" really mean I don't care? Now she was so jealous as to go mad. Don't know when Dongfeng Xian appeared at Li Yaoyao's side. The corner of his lips had a smile. That smile was demon-like and strange. Didn't expect that girl actually won. Oh. He gave a long sigh. Li Yaoyao's back cooled. Senior brother came. Jealous. Dongfeng Xian smilingly looked at Li Yaoyao. His eyes flickered with treacherous light. And no. Li Yaoyao, with great difficulty, squeezed out a smile, denying it at all cost. Dongfeng Xian's large palm was placed over Li Yaoyao's head. He softly stroked her jet-black fine hair. Foolish girl, only senior brother is the person that treats you the best. Dongfeng Xian's tone was light and soft like a feather landing on the ground, very gentle. But when people heard this, it gave them a blood-running cold, terrifying feeling. Yes, senior brother is the best. Li Yaoyao's smile became more and more dazzling and gorgeous, even though the rage in her heart could burn a city. Foolish girl, senior brother treats you very, very well. For example, who you want, dead senior brother will help you. Dongfeng Xian embraced Li Yaoyao's slender waist, His large palms lifted up. Li Yaoyao almost straddled a seat and landed on his long thigh. Dongfang Xian leaned against her ears. His breath was like flour, saying 2 words. Kill her. Chapter 15:12. Become famous with one battle. 8. Li Yaoyao shook from head to toe. Senior brother. Li Yaoyao's voice trembled from excitement. This was the first time senior brother explicitly said to help her kill Su Luo. How could Li Yaoyao not be excited? Li Yaoyao once entrusted her desires to many people, but every one of them disappointed her. Even Li Aochen thoroughly disappointed her. But she knew that if senior brother went out, Su Luo would absolutely die without a burial site. Because Li Yaoyao knew. Even Nangong Luyan was not senior brother's opponent. If senior brother wanted to kill Su Luo, it's as simple as crushing an ant. But it's not right now. Dongfang Xian's hidden gaze looked at that pair of jade annulus not far from them. His mouth hooked into a strange smile. Li Yaoyao nodded. Because Grandmaster Rong Yun is present. Yes. Dongfang Xian's tone was pointed, low and faint. His long finger hooked Li Yaoyao's charming nose. You want her to die now? Li Yaoyao firmly nodded. Really wish she would die immediately. As to this, Dongfang Xian's eyes were hidden and deep like an ancient well, profoundly mysterious, can consider it. Really? Li Yaoyao opened her eyes wide from being pleasantly surprised. Since it's my family's Yaoyao's wish, naturally must go all out to meet it. Dongfang Xian pampering pinched her nose. Smile a bit, senior brother likes when Yaoyao smiles the most. Li Yaoyao immediately showed a dazzling smile that was like summer flowers. Not far away. Su Luo's eyes looked in Li Yaoyao's direction, as she frowned slightly. Li Yaoyao is really not an ordinary person, ah. Su Luo lamented repeatedly. Situ Ming's dead skeleton hasn't even cooled yet, and now she again hooked a Dongfang Xian. Nangong Liuyun's eyes lifted up slightly. Seeing Dongfang Xian's figure, he had a not-so-good premonition. Doesn't Li Yaoyao desperately love you? Could it be Dongfang Xian doesn't even care a little about this? Su Luo stroked her chin, sinking into deep reflection on this. Nangong Luyan patted her head. Don't think nonsense, let's go. Nangong Luyan pulled Su Luo to walk towards the outer area. At this moment, the originally very lively crowd, everyone voluntarily made a path that was enough for 2 people to walk shoulder to shoulder, letting them leave. Su Luo couldn't help but recall that time, recall that 2 years ago, she was also on this battle stage. At that time, her reputation wasn't so prominent. The same winning against the opponent, the same way of leaving, being pulled by Nangong Liuyun's hand. But at that time, everyone's gaze towards her was mostly loathing and despising. But now Su Luo's gaze swept their faces, those joyous expressions of worship, was enough to prove that their view of her had completely changed. A little more than 2 years' time, and Su Luo had finally torn off that label of being a good-for-nothing on her forehead. The her right now was already 9th rank. The 10th-ranked Li Aochen had personally admitted defeat to her. Surveying the entire Eastern Ling dynasty, how many were her opponents? She could even walk this continent horizontally. At that time, Jade Lake's Li family chased to kill her time and time again. If they still hadn't grown eyes and came over to provoke her. Su Luo secretly humphed in her heart. Let us directly return to the gambling house. Bei Chen-ing ran over in high spirits from behind her. Ziyan also followed behind with an excited expression. How is it? How much did we win this time? Su Luo asked with all smiles. Fortunately, she came out of closed-door cultivation in time, otherwise the 300,000 crystal stones she bet before would have all been lost. This number. Bei Chen-ing gestured a number towards Su Luo, directly scaring Su Luo until her heart trembled. How could it be so much? Su Luo said in disbelief. Besides the 300,000 crystal stones we bet on the outside, we also accepted other people's bets. Then by chance the great majority of the people didn't think highly of you. Hee, this let our betting house get a small advantage, okay? Bei Chen-ing smiled with incomparable complacency. Chapter 15:13, Showdown between experts. 1. After returning, Everyone got together to count money. Seeing the piled into a mountain crystal stones, Su Luo immediately beamed with joy. Recently, don't know what's up with the little divine dragon and them. Their appetite was very good. Every day, every hour, they would gnaw on crystal stones. Before, she took out 10,000 crystal stones in advance and placed it into her space, but it has only been how long? Su Luo checked her space, and only a few hundreds remained of those 10,000 crystal stones. It wasn't enough to stuff the cracks in their teeth. If Su Luo didn't make an effort to earn more crystal stones, everything would be empty. Su Luo also didn't understand why those several pets in her space would eat so much recently. But these kind of circumstances in her heart, Su Luo liked to see it. Able to eat a lot was good fortune. The more they eat, the faster they would be promoted. She took out 20,000 crystal stones in advance from Beichening again, before Su Luo left, perfectly content. Today's battle spread through the entire Eastern Ling with the quickest speed, then to the entire world. Everyone knew that another young kingly expert emerged. Her name was Su Luo. This day, every nook and corner in the imperial capital, over tea after a meal, were all talking about Su Luo. From her beginning as a good-for-nothing, till later when she was still not recognized. Then till now, where her name soared to the sky from one battle. In this complicated and strange route, came out completely different versions, one after another. But without a doubt, at the core of these versions, were all praises and reverence for Su Luo. At this moment, the label of a good-for-nothing stuck on Su Luo was torn. Subsequently, the imprint of gifted talent was stuck to her. This time, after competing against Li Aochen, Su Luo had a feeling of a heavy weight being lifted from her mind. However, immediately following, she was somewhat worried again. In another month was Nangong Luyan and Dongfang Xian's competition. Could Nangong Luyan win? Su Luo didn't know. At this moment, everyone present also didn't know. A month's time passed very quickly in an instant. Southern Mountains. Beichening handed over a thick account book over to Su Luo, with brows wrinkled. This time's competition bet on second brother to win against Dongfang Xian is a lot more. Like this, if they were to also bet on Nangong Luyan, then there wouldn't be that much profit to make. Su Luo stroked her chin, and sank into deep thought. What do you think? After quite a while, Su Luo came back from her thoughts. Her crafty eyes looked towards Beichening. Not easy to manipulate. Beichen scratched his head. Could it be we still let second brother continue pretending to be heavily injured? But it can't be repeated again, Su Luo unhappily shot a glance at him. I feel you forgot the most important point. What? Beichen Ying's eyes were bewildered. A lot of people don't know Dongfang Xian's information, right? Su Luo hooked her finger towards Beichen Ying. Beichen Ying eagerly went up. Su Luo muttered several sentences in his ear. Beichen Ying's pair of pitch-black eyes immediately lit up. Good idea. Beichen Ying snapped his finger. Two shallow dimples appeared on his snow-white cheeks. He was as happy as a big boy full of sunshine. Two little heads gathered together, muttering for a while before agreeing on a plan. What are they discussing? Ziyan walked over from far away, testing Dongfang Xian's strength. Su Luo proudly lifted an eyebrow. Who should go? A trace of worry appeared in Ziyan's eyes. Senior brother's strength is extremely terrible. Even those elders in the Elder Union would praise senior brother. Su Luo softly said 3 words by her ear, and Ziyan immediately laughed. His honorable elder going, it couldn't be better. Ziyan said with all smiles. Chapter 15-14. Showdown between experts. 2. At that time, even if Elder Ancestor Mo's identity was exposed, he was still Central Palace's people, didn't have any relationship with Nangong Luyan. Night pitch black as ink. A black figure left Southern Mountains, leaping down the mountain with flying speed. Earlier, Beichening had already passed down Dongfang Xian's resting place. Therefore, Elder Ancestor Mo didn't even delay for a second, and directly traveled towards the place where Dongfang Xian was. Right now, Dongfang Xian was sitting on a soft couch, resting with his eyes closed. Li Yaoyao sat at his side, a youthful color painted on her fingernails, peeling a round grape. With gentle movements, she placed it beside Dongfang Xian's mouth. Dong Fengxian contentedly swallowed it, the hand on his long arm rubbing Li Yaoyao's head. Li Yaoyao meekly leaned against his chest, her seaweed-like thick black hair spreading out. Like a night fairy, enchanting and alluring. Dong Fengxian looked until his heart became hyperactive, heating up until his throat was dry. His finger lightly rose and lifted up Li Yaoyao's chin. He leaned over and kissed her. Li Yaoyao immediately was greatly alarmed. She subconsciously wanted to push Dong Fengxian away, but Dong Fengxian's strength was far stronger than hers. First, not mentioning that Li Yaoyao lost her cultivation. Even if she had her cultivation, Dong Fengxian's strength wasn't something she could move against. Dong Fengxian's arm was like mysterious black iron. His right hand lifted up her chin, left hand embracing her snake-like waist and ruthlessly ravaging her soft lips. Li Yaoyao was exceptionally disgusted with this in her heart, but no matter how she resisted, it was all useless. Things that Dong Fengxian wanted to do, no one could stop. Dong Fengxian thought Li Yaoyao's resistance was just her being shy and took the resistance as welcoming him. Because he was very confident in himself, he was confident that Li Yaoyao being so intimate with him was all real. "Yaoyao, give it to me." Dong Fengxian's expression was indistinct as he mumbled in a low tone. "No, don't." Li Yaoyao really wanted to run. But the more she resisted by turning this way and that way, Dong Fengxian's passion would increase by quite a bit. Finally, a scarlet color flashed through Dong Fengxian's eyes, and he laughed sinisterly. One only saw his hand use a bit more strength. One only hear a crisp tearing sound. Immediately after, was Li Yaoyao's shriek in fright. Because Li Yaoyao discovered that her plain white dress was actually torn into pieces by Dong Fengxian, the majority of which landed on the ground. There were still several strips hanging from her body, making her delicate, exquisite, pretty figure faintly discernible. In this season, people didn't wear a lot of clothes besides a white long skirt on the outside. Li Yaoyao only had on a thin doudou and underpants. Now the plain white long skirt was torn into pieces, therefore, the scarlet doudou appeared in Dong Fengxian's eyesight. Li Yaoyao subconsciously covered the two peaks on her chest, but how could her movement be faster than Dong Fengxian's gaze? Dong Fengxian's lecherous eyes became deeper and deeper, and smiled weirdly towards Li Yaoyao. "No, don't." Li Yaoyao was extremely frightened. She knew what would happen if she didn't resist, so she subconsciously turned around and wanted to run. But before she could run more than several steps, Dong Fengxian's finger moved slightly, and the strips of cloth on Li Yaoyao's body was grasped firmly by him. One only saw him pull immediately after, and Li Yaoyao spun in circles and returned into his arms. Li Yaoyao felt as if she had fallen into the icy cold ice house. Her heart had an indescribable fear and sorrow. No, she must not lose her virginity. She simply didn't love senior brother. How could she give her body to him? She could play along, but really doing it was not going to happen. Li Yaoyao's eyes were full of tears as she shook her head with all her might. Chapter 15:15 Showdown Between Experts 3. "Little Yao, why are you crying?" Dong Fengxian's soft voice puffed at the side of her sensitive ear. His tone had a trace of a strange coldness, like ice, that made people shudder. Li Yaoyao's heart sunk into the ground, crying while shaking her head. "Senior brother, don't." However, the more she refused, Dong Fengxian discovered that his desire to possess her increased even more. "Be obedient, Yao. You like senior brother, right?" Dong Fengxian lifted up her tapered, snow-white chin. His smile was more sinister than an azura from hell. Li Yaoyao could only cry, because she couldn't shake nor nod her head. Once she shook her head, Dong Fengxian would directly discard her like a used shoe. What's she to do if he didn't continue to be her backer? If she nodded her head, Dong Fengxian would directly do her right now. Then what's she to do? As a result, Li Yaoyao was in an awkward position from both left and right side. She could only make progress with great difficulty. No matter what she said, it would be wrong. No matter what she did, it would be wrong. She wasn't even able to choose between shaking her head or nodding her head. Little girls are always so shy. But senior brother likes this. Dong Fengxian loved this. He lowered his body and heavily kissed down. Li Yaoyao used both hands to push against Dong Fengxian with all her might. She used all her strength to oppose him, But the matter that made her give up all hope was that her strength, from Dongfang Xian's point of view, was like an ant shaking a huge tree, overestimating her own abilities. Little thing, the more you resist, the more senior brother likes it. Dongfang Xian's smile was like the brilliant stars. His large palm made a pass and Li Yaoyao's scarlet duda disappeared. Soon after, with one toss the scarlet duda flew out the window and hung on a huge lush tree. Li Yaoyao only felt her chest become cold. Then she watched as her duda flew up the tree. Suddenly, her face turned red, igniting like a cloud of fire. How could it hang up on a tree? That was a dudu ah. Moreover, that dudu had Li Yaoyao's name embroidered on it with gold thread ah. Li Yaoyao was so anxious that she just wanted to jump out and fish it back. But at this time, Dongfang Xian held on tightly to her slim snake-like waist. So no matter how Li Yaoyao jumped or hopped, she couldn't leave. Little Yaoer, come make love with senior brother. Dongfang Xian's tone carried a trace of a bewitching and demonic charm. No, don't want. Tears fell like rain from Li Yaoyao's eyes, both hands slowly linking up. Her right now had snow-white skin, and a delicate collarbone that gave off an alluring gloss. The rim of her eyes were red and swollen, looking lovely and pitiful. Which male, seeing this, wouldn't be energetic from their blood vessels expanding? Dongfang Xian was also no exception. If Li Yaoyao was wearing clothes, then Dongfang Xian might let her go. But now clothes were taken off. How could they still be covered in a quilt and have a pure chat? This was not something that a person of Dongfang Xian's nature could do. As a result, Dongfang Xian simply held Li Yaoyao to him by the waist and whirled with her, alarming Li Yaoyao until her flowery face lost all color. Seeing the beautiful face within reach, Dongfang Xian's heart was exceptionally happy. Girl, come. Dongfang Xian's face had a smile, looking at Li Yaoyao happily. Release me. Release me. Li Yaoyao resisted with all her might. How could it be like this? Chapter 15-16. Showdown between experts 4. Li Yaoyao's eyes were full of tears, with a scarlet-red complexion like an ignited raging inferno. Subconsciously, Li Yaoyao's hand stretched out to reach for it, making Dongfang Xian's eyes even brighter. Sensing the peculiarity in Dongfang Xian, Li Yaoyao was so anxious that she almost cried. Then, she hurriedly, in a flurry, took her hand back to protect her nakedness. Dongfang Xian's eyes jumped like two flames. The flame was on the verge of exploding like the sparks that started a prairie fire. Very quickly, it ignited into a boiling hot blaze. What to do? How? Li Yaoyao was so anxious, just like a cat on a tin roof, running around in circles. Just at this critical moment, Li Yaoyao could clearly feel. Li Yaoyao urgently screeched. Ah! Li Yaoyao wanted to run, but Dongfang Xian's pair of hands. Don't. Li Yaoyao's pair of eyes opened wide from being overwhelmed with shock. She was almost about to pass out. An overwhelming pain rushed towards her that was earth-shattering, unprecedentedly humiliating and enveloping her like an ugly cloud. Very, very unforgettable. She thought she could use Dongfang Xian as a backer, but she never expected that this backer could be so ruthless. To brutally rob her most precious thing away, and think she was very willing. Li Yaoyao trembled from head to toe due to the pain, tears falling down like rain. Just at this moment, suddenly, Dongfang Xian's brows tightly puckered. His body moved, and he had already finished tidying up his clothes. Li Yaoyao was placed on the bed with a flip of his hand. Senior brother would let her off just like this? However, before she could celebrate, she saw the spots of blood on the bed. The blood was like a sharp sword, deeply stabbing into her eyes. Lost her most prized innocence. Li Yaoyao's entire complexion became pale. Battered and exhausted, she lied on the bed face up, with a lifeless expression in her eyes. She seemed spiritless. Outside, elder ancestor Mo appeared in the courtyard. Of course, in order to shift the blame to Central Palace's Mo family, Su Luo simply didn't even bother to disguise Little Stone. Rather, she let elder ancestor Mo appear in his normal appearance. Elder ancestor Mo? Dongfang Xian's eyes were half-narrowed. His voice was low, carrying a trace of doubt. However, his good thing was interrupted halfway. Dongfang Xian was naturally angry in his heart. But this anger was naturally hidden well when encountering Elder Ancestor Mo. This huge character. The little stone who was draped in Elder Ancestor Mo on the outside frowned. He didn't even waste a word and directly made a move against Dongfang Xian. Dongfang Xian coldly said, "What is the meaning of Elder Ancestor Mo? Don't know where I had offended you?" Dongfang Xian was anxious because he could clearly sense that strong power on Elder Ancestor Mo's body. That aura could only belong to a super strong expert. The him right now was powerless to resist. However, the little stone draped in the shell of Elder Ancestor Mo had no expression, hand extended out like an iron plier. Chapter 15-17, Showdown Between Experts 5. Since Senior insists on acting, then this younger generation won't be polite either. Dongfang Xian was furious over having his good thing being interrupted. Now, Elder Ancestor Mo directly moved against him. His temperament had always been strong. How could he endure it? Therefore, Dongfang Xian immediately engaged in a fight with Elder Ancestor Mo. After engaging, Dongfang Xian's heart moved slightly. Elder Ancestor Mo's strength clearly was already at the saint rank, but now he felt the opponent only used commander-level strength. What's going on? Could it be? Dongfang Xian's heart suddenly rejoiced. Could it be that Elder Ancestor Mo didn't come to kill him, but to visit and instruct him? This possibility was the greatest. Dongfang Xian's heart rejoiced, and he seriously nodded his head towards Elder Ancestor Mo. Little Stone looked at Dongfang Xian, as if he was an idiot. What was the idiot doing nodding his head? Dongfang Xian met the little stone's calm as water gaze, and his eyebrows smoothed out. Sure enough, Elder Ancestor Mo wasn't here to kill him. Many thanks to Senior for the instructions, please. Dongfang cupped his hands in obeisance. Little Stone's brows wrinkled slightly. Instructions? Who's instructing? He clearly was testing his strength, okay? At the same time, the little stone personally came out in order to adapt to the combat abilities of Elder Ancestor Mo's body, okay? Who had the time to instruct him, Crazy idiot. In Little Stone's heart, Dongfang Xian was a crazy idiot, but Dongfang Xian was completely unaware of this. A pity Little Stone wasn't the original Elder Ancestor Mo, so his power was heavily lowered. As a result, to force Dongfang Xian to show the trump cards at the bottom of his trunk was not an easy thing to do. Following the two people's fight, the courtyard was too small. It was not enough for them to fight all out. Therefore, the two moved slowly to the north. As they slowly shifted from their original location while fighting, two sneaky figures appeared in the surrounding wall of the courtyard. One light voice sounded in a low tone. "Where is Elder Ancestor Mo? Why can't I see him?" Not clear, but from the information Beichen acquired, Dongfang Xian's courtyard is here. Then should we enter? There is a strong aura here that seems to have been scattered gradually. Could it be that Elder Ancestor Mo had already left? These two people, naturally, were Su Luo and Ziyan, who tailed behind Elder Ancestor Mo. Little Stone's speed was very fast. Su Luo took Ziyan along and teleported here, but they were still a step too slow. Elder Ancestor Mo had left already. What's that? Ziyan pointed at a bright red material hanging on a tree, her shiny black pupils blinking away. It looks like red marriage head cover? Su Luo tilted her head back, thinking a bit before saying this. Could it be that the ancient people had a custom to hang the red marriage head cover on trees? Could there be other meanings in this? Wrong. Ziyan firmly shook her head. This is not a red marriage head cover, from what I saw. This is clearly a doo-doo. Su Luo naturally didn't believe it. Who has nothing better to do than hang a doo-doo on trees in the middle of the night? To soak up the moonlight? It really is a doo-doo. Don't believe me? I'll bring it over for you to have a look. Ziyan flew towards the tree in a flash. She returned with the doo-doo and gave it to Su Luo. Look, isn't it a doo-doo? It really is a doo-doo. Su Luo smiled from ear to ear. In fact, she had already seen what it was, but was too lazy to go and get it. Moreover, such an intimate thing, she also didn't want to hold it in her hands. Suddenly, Ziyan's mouth let out a faint, sound of surprise. What's wrong? Su Luo curiously gathered closer to her, lowering her voice to ask. Chapter 1518 Showdown Between Experts 6. There are words on it. Ziyan spread out the doo-doo, using the bright moonlight to light up the surface with the words. Her gaze went towards the writing. In an instant, both of them went still. Liao Yao. The two spoke in unison, using a bewildered expression to look at each other. Liao Yao's doo-doo? Su Luo's eyes opened wide. So it seems. Ziyao was somewhat uncertain. Liao Yao was Jade Lakesley family's beloved daughter. Regardless, how could her doo-doo fly to the top of the tree to hang there? Even more, this doo-doo had a male scent that still hadn't completely dispersed. Just at this moment, a weak voice came from inside the courtyard. Su Luo and Ziyan both looked at each other in dismay. It's a female's voice. Inside Dongfang Xian's room, a female's voice, and added to that Liao Yao's doo-doo? Su Luo rubbed her chin, full of interest. Interesting, very interesting. The two looked at each other, their gazes full of smiles. Since it was Liao Yao's doo-doo, Ziyan naturally wouldn't want to hold it. She didn't even have to think before tossing the doo-doo to the ground and stepping on it several times. Let's go have a look. Su Luo brought Ziyan and flew over the wall. Like a wisp of smoke, they ran into the room. Because the aura of a strong presence had already disappeared in the distance, it was obvious that little stone had very nicely drawn Dongfang Xian away. Su Luo walked in the front, Ziyan in the back. The door was pushed open. Su Luo stood in the doorway. Using the moonlight that poured in, she could clearly see the figure in the bed leaning against the wall. Liao Yao laid on the bed, face up, like a dead fish. Her hair was a mess, her whole body was battered and exhausted. Su Luo stopped in place, her eyes flashing. Why are you blocking the door? Why aren't you going in to look? After learning that Dongfang Xian was not here, Ziyan's courage immediately became fat. She pushed Su Luo a step forward and entered sideways around Su Luo. At this time, the lethargic Liao Yao was roused by the voices, and she opened her eyes slowly. Su Luo. After clearly seeing the figure in front of her, Liao Yao's whole body trembled violently. Her face was panic-stricken, terrified as if had seen the devil. Su Luo. Liao Yao suddenly sat up, her action swift and hurried. Su Luo had her arms crossed at her chest, her chin raised slightly, the corners of her mouth curving into a faint smile. Liao Yao, if I remember correctly, this is Dongfang Xian's courtyard, no? Panic and fear appeared on Liao Yao's face. Dongfang Xian. In her mind, in a flash, she recalled the memories from before. Her most humiliating, most embarrassing, most unbearable moment was completely spread out in front of her most loathed, most envied and most hated person. This simply was more painful than killing her. Get lost. Get lost. All of you get out. Liao Yao grabbed the pillow nearby and tossed it at Su Luo's head in a splitting rage. A pity that the current Yao Yao didn't have a trace of spirit strength left. For Su Luo, she was not even as strong as an infant. Su Luo didn't even need to dodge. That pillow couldn't reach anywhere near her. Ziyan felt more and more schadenfreude. Ha, Liao Yao, you were bedded by Dongfang Xian, right? Does your family know you did such a shameless thing? In ancient times, such tough-as-nails words could only be said by a miss like Ziyan. Chapter 1519. Showdown Between Experts 7. Upon hearing Ziyan's words, Liao Yao's face drained of color, her body shivering painfully. Why are you putting on such an expression? Before, didn't you express liking your family's senior brother? Now pretending like this, who are you trying to show this to? Ziyan sized up Liao Yao's figure. Tsk so black and purple, as if the battle was very intense. Poor Liao Yao, long dress was ripped into strips, doo-doo was tossed onto a tree. The only underpants were ripped into a shapeless mess, there was nothing on the bed to cover herself with. She wanted to rush up and rip of that Ziyan's sharp mouth, but she didn't dare get up. She could only curl up into herself, and angrily glare at Ziyan like a sworn enemy. Why are you glaring at me like this? Who knows, if you were the one who seduced Dongfang Xian, then turned around to pretend to be innocent, making him take responsibility. Ziyan humphed twice. Shut up. Shut up. Liao Yao covered her ears, unable to listen any longer. What did she mean? Seduce Dongfangxian. Clearly she was forced, alright? She lost her most precious virginity, okay? Ziyan said that as if she was a cheap slut. Ziyan hummed. What are you arguing about? Afraid that other people won't know that in order to secure a backer, Jade Lakesley family's princess went and climbed in the other person's bed in the middle of the night? Li Yaoyao was angered until a mouthful of blood got stuck in her throat. Couldn't go up nor down. She almost fainted because of being suffocated. Me? What I just said, isn't it the truth? You, as a good-for-nothing, you think senior brother will fall for you? Stop dreaming. Ziyan imitated Li Yaoyao's tone at that time, returning these words back to her. Su Luo, who stood on the side, heard this and with a pft, let out a laugh. Ziyan mimicking that tone was really too similar. Li Yaoyao was so angry that she sprayed out a mouthful of blood. Hateful. Hateful. Too hateful. If she had the strength, she would definitely tear up that mouth of Ziyan's. No, it didn't matter that she didn't have the strength, senior brother has it. She certainly will ask senior brother. Senior brother. Li Yaoyao recalled the things senior brother did to her before, and immediately, her whole body withered, just the little cabbage hit by frost, wanting to weep but lacking the tears. Luo, should we take this opportunity? Ziyan made a snapping gesture towards Su Luo. Because Li Yaoyao was too vile, too hateful. Second elder brother died to save her, his remains were hardly cold. Yet she was now tangled up with senior brother. At the same time, she still thought of third elder brother, and wanted to kill Su Luo. Su Luo's gaze looked towards Li Yaoyao. In the moonlight, Su Luo could clearly see Li Yaoyao's sinister gaze in the darkness. Li Yaoyao was like a venomous snake. At any time, she would rush up to bite. Such people, if you don't pull them out by the roots, they will come back with the spring wind again. She and Jade Lakesley family were already mortal enemies. There would be a day she would kill all the way to Jade Lake Palace, and avenge herself for being repeatedly chased to be killed. As for Li Yaoyao in the dark night, Su Luo's mouth curled into a chilling smile. Kill Li Yaoyao, making it too cheap for her. Now Su Luo maintained her composure and shook her head, saying to Ziyan, let's go, there's nothing good to see here. Just gonna go like this? Ziyan found it hard to believe. Such a great opportunity, Su Luo would let Li Yaoyao go? How can this be? Tomorrow is Nangong and Dongfangxian's battle. If we kill Li Yaoyao now, we would incite all of Dongfangxian's rage, then a cold meaning shone in Su Luo's eyes. Then tomorrow's fight would be very unfavorable to Nangong. Chapter 1520, Showdown between experts. 8. The so-called an army burning with righteous indignation would win. This was the same reasoning. Therefore Su Luo decided to let Li Yaoyao's head stay on her neck for a few days. Don't tell me, just let her go like this? Ziyan pulled at Su Luo, refusing to go. Ziyan already felt Li Yaoyao was offensive to her eyes for quite some time. Now, if she was to let such a good opportunity go, don't know if there would be another chance to get revenge. This time can't kill her. This was Su Luo's bottom line. Cannot kill doesn't mean cannot thrash. Ziyan was really unwilling to let go, but there was nothing she could do. She took 2 quick steps towards Li Yaoyao, her eyes cold. Li Yaoyao. Li Yaoyao subconsciously lifted her eyes towards her, her eyes holding both anger and distrust. Slap. Ziyan heavily slapped her face. This slap is for me. Met with Li Yaoyao's confused gaze, Ziyan smiled sternly and said in a frosty tone, don't tell me you forgot, these past years, how many times you maliciously accused me in front of the several senior brothers. Only third senior brother did not believe Li Yaoyao's lies. The other 2 senior brothers were like brainless idiots, believing everything Li Yaoyao told them, so their impression of Ziyan was always bad. This slap, half of Li Yaoyao's face swelled up, turning red. Li Yaoyao cried out in pain, but it was obvious that Ziyan still wasn't finished venting her rage. She pulled her other hand back and slapped again. Slap! The sound was clear and crisp, making people who heard it feel happy. The other side of Li Yaoyao's face swelled up too, now symmetrical with the other side. It looked like 2 red apples, seemingly very joyous. This slap is for the duped second senior brother. Ziyan snorted coldly several times. Second senior brother was foolish, stupid and silly. Only when he was dying did he see your true colors. But he had no way to slap you, so I'll do it for him. Ziyan. Li Yoyo's voice was sharp as she howled. She was dizzy from Ziyan's slaps. Her eyes turned clockwise like a hypnotic spiral. Now she felt the hot pain on her cheeks. If she had spirit power, she could completely disregard this pain. But now, she was a good-for-nothing with no spirit force, so she could feel the pain clearly. Originally, she thought that Ziyan was done with slapping her. Who knows, Ziyan slapped her again. You think I could leave your face symmetrical? No way. This slap, Ziyan used 30% of her power, sending Li Yaoyao directly flying out. Li Yaoyao's naked body flew out from the window and landed on the opposite roof. Then, she slowly rolled down and landed on a large street. Su Luo's mouth curled speechlessly. Ziyan did all the things she wanted to do. She originally wanted to shatter the room and make the naked Li Yaoyao rush out of the room. But Ziyan's method saved time, saved strength and was environmentally friendly. Su Luo gave Ziyan a thumbs up. Ziyan lifted her eyebrows complacently. How can I let her off so easy? Su Luo smilingly shook her head. Looks like Ziyan had accumulated deep grievances against Li Yaoyao. But once you think about it, Li Yaoyao and Ziyan were in Purgatory City at the same time. After so many years, having this white lotus flower Li Yaoyao by her side, Ziyan would have definitely been bullied miserably. Just at this moment, slight sounds of footsteps could be heard coming from outside. Su Luo and Ziyan exchanged a glance. A man's footsteps. Su Luo's always accurate perception, moreover strength of first rank. Walking towards the naked Li Yaoyao. Ziyan blinked her eyes. Chapter 1521. The Last Battle. 1. Su Luo and Ziyan lied on top of the wall, holding their breaths with rapt attention and looking down carefully. Before Li Yaoyao was sent flying by one slap from Ziyan, her body then flew out the window and crashed to the ground. Now she was just lying like that, naked on the wide street. Her shining white body gave off an alluring and enchanting gloss under the moonlight. Li Yaoyao was dazed from that slap, so at this moment, both of her eyes were closed as she lost consciousness. Not far away, a figure flew over but didn't stop. This guy that flew by was the first-ranked guy Su Luo sensed before. What a pity just like this to let him go. Ziyan held her chin with both hands as she gave a long sigh of regret. Su Luo patted her head. Do your thoughts have to be so wicked? In fact, Su Luo smiled even more wickedly than Ziyan. Do you know what I wish for the most right now? Ziyan shook her head and very proudly said with a smile. What? Su Luo laid side by side with her on the roof, gazed looking at the naked Li Yaoyao lying there, and found the time to glance at Ziyan. I really wish that a beggar would appear from the corner of the street. This beggar must be very dirty, and extremely ugly, looking like a person that hasn't washed for several years. Messy hair and dirty face. It's best that he's also injured with festered sores that ooze pus. While Ziyan excitedly described this, she also nodded her head in satisfaction. Su Luo unhappily jabbed Ziyan's forehead. Little girl, it's not good like this, you know? Ziyan pursed her lips and smiled. Don't tell me you aren't thinking like this in your heart. Su Luo smiled until her eyes curved. Being aware of it is good enough, must you say it out loud? The people talked and laughed. The pitiful Li Yaoyao laid on the icy ground, naked, bathing in the moonlight. Oh. You look, what is that? Ziyan, all of a sudden, was excited and grabbed Su Luo's hand, pointing to a darkish shadow at a corner up ahead. At this moment, that figure had just turned a corner and was slowly walking this way. Su Luo was first shocked, then she trembled slightly from head to toe. Finally, with a pft, she laughed out loud. Was Ziyan's mouth made of gold? Whatever she said will happen. Heading directly towards them was the extremely dirty, ugly, messy hair with dirty-faced beggar that hadn't washed for several years from Ziyan's mouth. Now Ziyan was also dumbfounded. A pair of jet-black, clear eyes were opened very wide. Maybe a crow's beak? Su Luo asked, making fun of her. Like a crow's beak, really accurate, ah. I was merely just saying it casually, ah. Ziyan explained in a low tone. However, immediately after, the expression on her face became more excited. Really looking forward to the plot following this. Don't let people be disappointed. As a result, the two gossipy girls with pitch-black eyes that flashed with light concentrated their attention on that dirty beggar wearing a sack and holding a broken bowl in his hands. Walking closer, one could tell this beggar was about 40 to 50 years old. One leg was somewhat lame, exposing a sinister wound. That wound was covered densely with sores oozing pus. It looked really nauseating. His head had always been lowered as he limped forward. Just at this moment, suddenly he stepped on something, stumbled and almost fell. What things? The beggar's gaze looked down. Using the bright as water moonlight, he could clearly see that he had stepped on a scarlet cloth. Dudwa. The beggar's eyes suddenly light up. A lusty feeling that he had suppressed for many years suddenly rushing up to his head. The beggar lowered his head and furtively picked up this erotic red doo-doo. He placed it in front of his nose and sniffed it carefully. Afterwards, he gave a coarse sound of satisfaction. Chapter 1522. The Last Battle. 2. Really fragrant, such a strong, enticing smell. The beggar's eyes were blurred, his mind almost flying away. His lust had been suppressed for too long. Just this doo-doo made his blood rush up. He itched to immediately find release and satisfaction. On the roof, Su Luo and Ziyan exchanged a glance, seeing the knowing look in each other's eyes. This beggar seems really vulgar. Ziyan lowered her voice in a whisper. She commented on this scene. Yes, looks like he won't do something melodramatic like take off his cloth to cover Li Yaoyao then guard at her side until she wakes up. Su Luo expressed her agreement to Ziyan's sharp comment. Only like this would it be marvelous. He. Schadenfreude-like laughter came from Ziyan's mouth. Li Yaoyao ah Li Yaoyao. This night will definitely be engraved in your mind and be unforgettable for the rest of your life. Aren't you the fairy that was above the vulgarity of common people? Aren't you noble, proud and aloof? Aren't your flesh made of ice and bones made from jade? Then let the dirtiest and most vulgar beggar in the world tarnish you. After you wake up and learn about this matter, what would you be like? Ziyan, because of excessive expectations, her little face became red. Under the two people's eager glances, that beggar stealthily stuffed the doo-doo embroidered with Li Yaoyao's name into his filthy and stinky sack clothing. Then, he lifted his eyes and furtively glanced around. If he didn't glance around, then afterwards, Li Yaoyao might still preserve some of the modesty that she was proudest of. But this glance from the beggar thoroughly pushed Li Yaoyao into a painful abyss. The beggar saw at a glance that white alluring figure not far away. A woman. The beggar's eyes were brighter than the North Star in the sky. He tossed aside the dirty sack on his body and the broken bowl. That limp seemed to have healed in a split second. His speed was as fast as the wind, frantically running towards that body. He ran to the front of that body, the saliva at the corner of his mouth dripping down. He was so excited, his whole body shuddered, even both of his legs were trembling. Good, such a beautiful body. A really good-looking miss. This body was white as jade, sleek and exquisite. Her curves were agreeable, nimble and delicate, giving off a strong allure and attractiveness. The beggar swallowed his saliva with difficulty, furtively looking all around. This place was somewhat isolated and somewhat obscure. It was blocked by the wide wall. If you didn't look carefully, you wouldn't discover anything. Looking at this glossy and sparkling body, the beggar shuddered from head to toe. His blood vessels opened up energetically. The blood of a beast flared up in his body. He was itching to immediately rush up and do this beautiful and pure as a fairy of a miss. But the beggar looked at himself, then looked at the unconscious miss. His heart felt deeply inferior. But if he was just to leave like this, he wasn't willing. He squatted down. His trembling fingers stroked that bright and jade-like body, saliva dripping down to the ground. This milk-like skin felt so moist and softer than silk. Really like it, really like it. The beggar's face looked drunk as his hands slowly moved up. Suddenly, his eyes were fixed on Li Yaoyao's body. This fair skin were full of purple and blue marks. These marks were very clear. Although the beggar didn't have much experience, he could still understand from one glance that this miss had just experienced that matter. Slut. As if the goddess in the beggar's heart was profaned, his rage soared. As if his eyes were misted over by flames, panting in rage, he pinched the soft mounts on Li Yaoyao's chest. Chapter 1523. The Last Battle 3. He completely didn't realize what qualifications that he, as a beggar, had to get angry. But he just was angry, furious to the point of almost going insane. Since others can, then I, your daddy, also can. The beggar that originally didn't dare touch her was immediately impassioned. He pulled open his tattered trousers and didn't do anything else before he directly entered. Hurts. The intense pain made Li Yaoyao wake up with a start, and she slowly opened her eyes. Afterwards, her eyes opened wide in a flash. An incomparably ugly and dirty man was on top of her, sinisterly smiling at her. The pain coming from her lower body told her exactly what was happening. No! Li Yaoyao screeched, scared to the point that her rosy appearance turned pale. However, the beggar's movements were quicker than hers. Just when Li Yaoyao almost gave voice to her alarm, the beggar had long ago extended his big hand and firmly clamped down on Li Yaoyao's mouth. He evilly and maliciously warned her. Don't shout. Li Yaoyao, while crying bitterly, she also shook her head. Whimpering sounds coming from her mouth. But at this moment, the beggar already couldn't endure it. Wherefore would he still have the time to care about her feelings? While he covered her mouth, he joyously galloped on her body. On top of the roof, Su Luo and Ziyin exchanged a glance. Afterwards, the two people simultaneously withdrew and left. What will happen next, they also don't know. They didn't deliberately do things to give Li Yaoyao such a conclusion. All of these were merely coincidences that all came together. If you must assign blame, then blame Li Yaoyao's luck for being this bad. The two people returned to the southern mountains, and the night quietly passed. Speaking of Li Yaoyao over there, this beggar moved on her body, but because he was too joyful, it was to the extent that the beggar was unable to control himself and ruthlessly did it many times. In the end, Li Yaoyao fainted. The beggar, after being perfectly satisfied, used the red doo-doo to wipe his body clean. Afterwards, he threw the doo-doo tarnished with white liquid on Li Yaoyao's face. Then the beggar left, perfectly contented. In the cold wind, Li Yaoyao was like a withered willow tossed about by the wind and rain, tottering on the verge of collapse. As dawn broke, the morning light penetrated through the sky. Li Yaoyao hadn't returned all night. The people of the Jade Lakes Li family naturally were worried. Li Aoqiong personally led a group of people to look for her. Because he knew where Dongfangxian's courtyard was, so Li Aoqiong didn't even have to think before heading in this direction. However, before they walked to the courtyard, they saw a white body shivering in the wind through the mist of dawn. At this time, Li Yaoyao was surrounded by a group of people. This group of people had Li Yaoyao surrounded in the middle, gesturing at her body, but no one dared to take a step closer. Because her face was covered by the doo-doo, no one knew who this seductively curved, exquisitely fine woman was. Several bullies and rogues were stroking their chins, about to go up and enjoy this fine delicacy, ruining a family's tradition. When Li Aoqiong passed by, he despisingly spit toward her. The people behind him also followed Li Aoqiong to spit. But because of the sound of these footsteps, it woke up Li Yaoyao from her faint. Li Yaoyao felt so much pain, as if her whole body had been run over by a horse carriage. The pain almost suffocated her. Li Yaoyao opened her eyes, took down the doo-doo and looked around bewilderedly. Li Aoqiong's gaze just so happened to shoot by and saw Li Yaoyao under the doo-doo. This glance immediately scared Li Aoqiong until his soul flew away. His entire person seemed to have an epilepsy stroke, shuddering nonstop. Eldest young master. The subordinate cried out in alarm. What's wrong with eldest young master? Why did he look as if he had seen a ghost? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.